for the next few days. Oh, but yeah, well,
Okay.
good. Aren't you supposed to be done for the day?
No, I just have to play.
Hours ago.
That's what I told from the beginning. Yeah, and Chris said anything we screw up, he will fix. Yeah, so
Chris,
yeah,
for command.
yeah,
Mhm.
anything we
Don't be
do,
afraid, yeah.
And so I quit being afraid and.
I didn't see your name on here. I want you to get credit.
Yeah, we want you guys to graduate, Ignite, you get some yardage. Hey, Lauren, that reminds me.
He's gone.
Bradley.
What?
Will you, or Lauren or whatever, print that sheet that we put in the calendar, and maybe we should put it how to earn yards. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be right now.
I don't, you're gonna earn their yards.
Yeah, and you get them by graduating Ignite, and you can only graduate if you come and sign. We have you, Caitlin, though, on Zoom. I'm just looking for the chapter we're on my iPad.
How are you?
You gotta win those sellers.
Right, we gotta win some sellers.
It's why yards for attending the class. I think so.
Do you? I don't remember
You
the
get 3 yards
yarn.
for attending class.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Your home decorated, you get 3 yards for decorating your home.
Oh, nice.
The helmets are probably up front. though.
You're already six yards up.
You're already in the game, man.
Even though I'm not in an agent, I'm in the game.
You're in the game, though. All right, so last time you guys learned about, let me go to that chapter, actually, fires. Winning with fires and. You know, I could look on the screen, need follow-up, right? You guys remember?
A little bit.
Okay, love it.
Reading the book, I wasn't able to tell him that I was reading the chapters, so.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Good. Hey, who's worked with fires? Before. You guys, okay, you're not an agent quite yet. I know Caitlin's worked with some
Oh.
fires. Bridget on there. You're not an agent yet, right? You're not quite licensed.
No, I'm not, I'm one of your guys' photographers. Came to help.
Oh.
Austin. Got me
Met
again?
you.
Yes.
I met you. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you told me that. So I didn't even know.
I
So, I just thought you were here for class.
New too.
mean, I am here for the class, but I signed up to help speak for a few minutes.
I love it. Perfect. Well, that's gonna be perfect. 'Cause I'm sure Bradley set you up because we're talking about listings. That's gonna be
Perfect.
So, who, tell me, you guys that have worked with fires and then taken the class, share with us. Something maybe that you learned that you were surprising to you when you either started working with fires or what you learned from the class about working with fires. Maybe something that surprised you that you thought, oh, I thought it would be harder, or I thought this would be easier.
I guess mine would be a lessons learned, because it was my very first fire. And it was a referral to me, from a lender, so I made an assumption that everything was just good to go, and she told me, you know, this is what I'm looking for, I want this house. So I take her and start showing her, well, and I had signed the agreement and everything. But come to find out, it was contingent on the sale of a home. And she only qualified for X if she sold Y for this much. And so then it turned
Ooh.
into
And who decided what Y was gonna sell for?
right, the
Right?
buyer.
Yeah, they just
And-
made, yeah, I think my house is gonna sell for
Yes.
this.
Yes, and it legit has been, she's that buyer that. I don't wanna say I've ghosted her, but I've had to try and redirect her multiple times because it was becoming such a time sucker. I've probably showed her 35 houses and she's not even ready to buy.
Oh, yeah, we have to
You-
stop showing our houses.
Yeah, I'm just like, I got over that a long time. I was like, okay, no, I don't know if you're using me for a company or.
She needs a friend in Utah
Yeah,
because she's
yeah.
moving here from out of state,
Yeah,
so she's
from
bored.
Tennessee, it's that
Mhm.
trailer house. She wouldn't price her.
Did she get damaged?
Huh?
Did her trailer house get damaged in the hurricane?
Oh, you know,
You should just, maybe
I
you
should.
should just check on her, because Tennessee got hit hard.
Oh my gosh. I should, and that's, I don't even watch the news.
I
like,
don't either.
I didn't know that there. Oh,
Yeah,
It's one of the
Terrible.
farthest inland a hurricane.
yeah.
I'm
it was
gonna
wild.
touch base, so yeah, that could be a bad, but the bottom line, my lessons learned is this, what you have for the interview with, and asking all the right questions and making sure, are they legit ready to buy? Because it legit, now it's been a great learning curve, obviously, right? But boy, it's been a time sucker of time, energy.
So
I just stopped
it's
showing her
so tricky to take back control of a relationship that you let someone else have control of, right? So that buyer got control of the relationship and started controlling what you were doing instead of you, because you didn't have all the tools, meaning information from her or with
Well,
making those
being so
assumptions.
new, yeah, I just.
No, and you got, this is how we have to
It was
learn.
all wrong. What, I could write the book on what not to do, right?
Yeah, yeah. But you now learned with a story behind it that you can now take to your next buyers and say, there's no need for you to fall in love with a house, for me to break your heart 35 times or whatever, and you fall in love with all these houses that you cannot buy.
Well, and I can't.
I assure you, if there's 35 houses to look at, there's gonna be houses to look at in your wants and needs are when you're ready.
And I also let her know it's not fair to the other agent or the other
Or the
homeowner.
sellers, yeah,
Or the, yeah. the
opening up their
sellers,
homes.
Because she wants to put in an offer contingent, well, you're nowhere near selling your home, like, it's not priced competitively. You can't waste the time on these boards, so I, was trying to tactfully share that with her too.
Mhm.
Cause I wanna be respectful to other agents, I want other agents to trust me and to want to work with me and not be like, you know what, don't work with her. She like doesn't know what she's doing, or,
We say, I can't remember how Rusty says it, but we say all the time, it's a really big like school, right? But it's a really small playground. Like there's so many real estate agents, but really they're the agents that are actually out there. You gotta keep good relationships with them. It's such a small community.
So in the class last week, we talked about creating the contacts and names, which we've not done, so tag them with ABC.
Yeah.
And then put each one depending on their grading on different campaigns. To stay on that. We've never really done that. We have our top 20 people that we always reach out to and. give
And
a
they're
vote.
getting a little extra love. Yep.
And they should,
Mhm.
but we need to organize that so people that aren't those top 20 are also.
Yeah, yeah. And there's so many ways to organize your database. I actually teach a different way than that ABCD thing. I don't like rating people by letter grades. It's just some weird childhood trauma in me, but but there's multiple ways you can segment your database, but ultimately you've got to segment it. The only reason to segment it is if you're going to market to them differently.
Right.
Mhm,
And we would,
mhm.
like, we have,
Exactly, you're gonna treat certain
Yeah.
people a little different from others, because the people that don't respond, they're not gonna get it as much of your time and energy. For sure, and then I have people that I'll spend money on, right, and people that I won't. If you're in my SOI, I'll spend money on you. I'll invite you to the pumpkin patch where I have to pay $6 down. Or I'll mail you a magnet or something.
only $3 now.
Oh, is it? I'm actually not even gonna get this one. I'm not even participating. Oh gosh, this year, my first year ever, ever. But.
And that's when they drop.
I know, right? Exactly. And now it's cheaper. So let's, I am gonna teach tonight. Have I taught with you guys before? Have I taught this round first week? Oh, maybe. Okay, yeah. I can't remember because I feel like I'm just here all the time. I just live. So, I'm gonna teach tonight with Sean, but let's have Austin with Pro Media Co. come tell us about his photo packages. So today we're gonna talk about listings and winning a buyer and seller. And there's I'm just gonna give a little plug for professional photography. I think it makes a massive, like, the biggest difference in homes getting maximum exposure and maximum dollar. So I think hiring a professional photographer has to be a tool in your tool belt that you're having. I also think it's pretty fun for buyers, or people that are selling their home and buying a different home. If you give them the pictures in like a Shutterfly book or something,
Oh,
for then to take with them to the next home, because then they get those professional photos, and he's already providing those for you, so you can do that.
Yeah,
For
we
sure.
provide you all that and all.
Will you come over here? I just have a on Zoom in my.
Yes. I
Right
will
there.
come over there.
Here with your back foot.
I will limp my way over. It's perfect. No, my name is Austin from Media Co. We're actually one of you guys' preferred vendors. You can see more of our information over there
On the vendor wall.
of services that we provide, and you can go to our website to find easy access to the packages we have and contact our booking people for that. The main thing I actually wanted to talk about today, kind of going along with this, because that's actually what we're talking about, was what it takes to make a home photo ready. And so what I actually wanted to ask you guys.
Get out your notebooks.
I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you guys think it takes for a home to be photo ready?
Clutter removed, windows
Me.
open. Here, I'll
Lights
take some notes.
Lights on, yes, thank you.
no cars parked in the driveway
That's a big one.
or even out in front on the curb.
Not even on the curb, yep, because sometimes we get further back with drone shots and you don't wanna see any cars right in front of the house, so.
A lawn mowed and, the just manicured probably.
Good landscaping goes a long way with our photos.
Personal pictures up on the wall.
Personal pictures is a huge one. A lot of people sometimes leave a lot of their personal pictures up and like, what do you guys think about this? And sometimes the agents look at us and they're like, what do you think about personal pictures? And we're like, well, actually, you wanna kind of take it off, because the more generically used a home seems, the more a buyer is able to envision themselves within the home. It's like the same as staging and making.
What do you guys do if you go in a home and it has personal pictures? Don't you look at them? I look at them and I'm like, do I know this family? And then I'm not looking at the home, I'm looking at their family. I'm not buying their family, I'm buying the home.
The one thing that we do when we go into every house is that we spend 15 minutes to remove any other distracting kind of thing, kind of items within the home that we feel would be have a problem. So sometimes it's personal pictures and sellers tell us not to touch them, then we don't touch them at all because we don't want to make sellers angry. But a lot of times, we will remove like personal effects, personal memorabilia, pretty much anything that could ever, give a home a more specific style that could dissuade any buyers.
Expensive items, pieces of art, you wanna make sure they're not thrown up in MLS.
Yeah, because then people could use that.
What's it called? What's it we do, we're gonna like rob your house? Yeah, but it's called something.
Theft.
Yeah. but MLS,
Oh, hunting?
or like going to open houses, or like scouting or.
Oh, scouting, yeah. Yeah.
He's off the-
If you did.
It
take
is.
it,
Scoping.
Piece in the joint or whatever.
Yeah. What do you guys think is the most distracting items that people could ever pick out of, like, well, no. What is the most distracting item anyone could pick out of a photo?
I think clutter, but that's just me.
That's good.
I'm a little OCD.
There is one thing that I have found in my profession that is the most distracting out of everything.
The toilet seat?
That is second. That's
Oh,
second. Toilet seat is number 2, but number 1 is something even like,
Their reflection in the
Yeah.
mirror.
no, we erased us in the mirror. Some people can't get those. Although I have seen professional portraits done, I'm looking through them and you see the photographer in the mirror, like, come on, guys.
But you
We
edit
edit
yourself
ourselves
out of me.
And a lot of times we'll just get out of it, and just have only the camera to remove, because that's like 10 times easier, but like, if we can remove ourselves from the mirror, we.
What about the listing that I saw and it had blood, literally painted in red, the word blood in the bedroom, like the bedroom looked like a
We-
freaking murder scene.
We will wipe those off.
I'm
But
sorry.
if we cannot remove it ourselves, our editors will remove it.
I was dying. I'm like, you guys really posted this?
We definitely do not. When it's stuff like that, that's that bad, we will.
Think that first.
Yeah.
But no, the number 1 item is trash cans. Trash cans are the biggest thing that people will point out in a photo that is the most distracting and the least attractive element of a home. So when we go, one of the first things that we always look for in the kitchen is where the trash can is it out is it out in plain view, and is there somewhere we can hide it, because it is one of the biggest, it is the biggest distraction for people. When they look at our photos, if they see a trash can anywhere, that's like the first thing they see, and it just turns them off. And they have to like go somewhere. It's insane. I've talked to buyers, I've talked to other agents, and we just have all come to the conclusion that trash cans are the bane of our existence, and also including like trash cans outside. Trash cans outside are just as bad, so
Yeah.
making sure that those are hidden away as well. If sometimes we miss them, we can always make them disappear, but we'd rather just make them go away beforehand. So. But basically what we've realized is that obviously if a home is clean, clutter-free, things like that, not only do people have the chance to kind of envision themselves in it, but it also really helps with the scope of the house. I had to shoot a hoarder home one time, and the home looked 3 times smaller just with the amount of stuff in the home. And then there was another home that I went to, and it was like kind of like one of those very lavish homes. So even though it wasn't a hoarder home, they still had a ton of stuff everywhere. It was like this 7,000 square foot house looked like a 4,000 square foot house because of all the stuff. So really getting rid of clutter, making open space by maybe rearranging or hiding some pieces of furniture if possible, can definitely help make a home photo ready. But a lot of the things that you guys said were perfect. Clutter, cars, personalization, trash cans, lights, blinds, making sure the blinds or windows are open so that we can get as much light in as possible, because it just makes the home look so much more welcoming when it's bright and lit and not dark and scary. What have your guys' experiences been with, because I know you guys have probably dealt with homes that are clean and pristine, homes that needed some work.
And everything in between.
Just to speak to the benefit of a good photographer, so we have some buyers down in Provo that we're showing houses to, and they had a list for one day, and Claudia said, this is gonna be the house that they love. And when we planned that one last, figured it'd be the one that they liked the most, went through it. The house was a nightmare, it was just like bad flooring, but the photographer, whoever did photography for this place, made it look awesome. And it got us there. Like,
Yeah.
if we'd known the condition, we probably wouldn't have even gone to look at it. But photographer made it look great. I mean, he didn't hide things. He just the angles he took pictures from, and I mean, there was probably some cleaning up on the back end, but
But really, like, professional photography can just like kind of emphasize the already good parts of the home. And that's probably what happened, is that it emphasized the good things, which caught the attention, but then it didn't quite, they didn't quite allow the cons that are present to maybe come out as well. We try to give a little bit of a balance. We don't try to make it look perfect, but we just try to emphasize the best parts of the home,
And
like
the
fireplaces.
cat
living
is
Isn't that the best?
You don't gotta smell the photos. But yeah, so that was like, because like one
The
time.
photographer could like edit it.
Little thing right in there. This smelled bad when I took it.
You guys ever seen the movie Masterminds? It sounds funny if you haven't seen it. And your homework assignment
Let's go watch my.
is go on YouTube and watch it's probably only like 3 or 4 minutes, but watch put in your YouTube search Masterminds photo shoot scene. And it's freaking hilarious. It's hilarious because they're so serious, but it's funny. But anyway, a family went and mimicked it, and it was all over like their living room wall. If you've ever seen the movie, it's fun. And I don't think anyone ever saw the house. They saw that photo and they were like, because if they hadn't seen the movie, they'd be like, what is going on with these? But if you've seen the movie, you're just laughing at it because it's funny. But yeah, it's one of two things, but you're looking at it. You're mesmerized by that, not the actual house. So, and then another example, I had a guy who, this one specific year, he got the biggest elk. And this was a house in Sunset or Clearfield, 1-level home, not a very big place, but he had in his living room. Now, if you've ever seen an elk mounted, it literally is like that. It's like the whole entire floor to ceiling. It's that big. And every time people would come in, the house was completely redone. It was a beautiful home, and they would be completely turned off by it.
They'd be like shocked.
And
when they walked in.
yeah, they were shocked because that's what they would refer to it as the elk house. So I finally, after multiple conversations, got him to remove it. And I said, you're taking it with you anyway, so just take it down now. You know, patch the mounting hole and do all that. It sold the next day. Because people couldn't see the house, because they could just see the elk if they walk in the front door. They're like, what the hell? And even if you're a hunter, it's still distracting. So,
I've seen that clip. I've pulled it up.
Masterminds?
Yeah.
It's
I've seen
hilarious.
the photo shoot clip.
But also like making sure that like homes are photo ready, especially by the time that we come by, it helps everybody respect their everyone's time. I just had an appointment recently where like the owner did almost nothing at their home. And I was late to my next appointment. So it's like not only did we, you know, not utilize the time of the agent that I was there for, but now I was disrespecting the time of the agent that was next on my list because, you know, we do go around and we take a lot of people. We serve over 500 agents currently from like Logan all the way down to DeFi. And so when we're pretty much like booked throughout an entire day, make sure that like a home is ready by the time that we get there shows a lot of respect to your guys' time because you guys are 24/7. You guys are constantly busy. It shows respect for our time and the owner's time. And so it's like everyone's time is respected when a home is ready to shoot there because then we don't have to intrude as long. And the biggest one that I want to finish off with is that like the best part about doing these photos for homes that are shoot ready is that it makes our job is, yes, we market the listings and help you guys market listings with professional photography, but we're also marketing you guys. Like you guys are the ones that look like you know what you're doing. You guys look like you're the ones that are professional and that you guys are on top of things when all your listings look good. All your listings are looking fabulous. They're selling quick and everything is running smoothly. And so that brings you more preferred clients. And so really us helping you, helping us help you. It's just like kind of back and forth situation when it comes to just making sure that, you know, homes are as picture perfect as and ready as possible. So that when we come in, we can do our best job to make you guys.
How much are your packages?
So our base package is usually starting off around, I think it's like 235, and it's just it's like 25 photos and 6 drone photos.
Okay.
So and that's usually for like a basic home, usually between like 1,500 to 2,000 square feet, and then every 5 or 1,000 square feet, the price goes up a little bit. It just depends on the square footage. But that's like the 6 drone photos. And then like obviously we've got like small add-ons if you want to do like a cool little Instagram walk through the home. It's like a $75 add-on. Or like $75 add-on. So
And do you do a marketing kit or anything?
we do provide like a marketing site, like a little microsite that you can use. And then I'm not sure if we provide things like digital like flyers or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure about that one. You can always like call the booking line on there, or Lennon's card is in there. He's the owner. Like he can definitely answer if we offer other marketing materials than just microsites.
Okay.
But we do offer like dedicated listing websites that you can easily point people to.
Yeah. Any other questions for him? Or online? Any questions online?
The photo booklet for the buyers. When does that come, or for the sellers rather?
Well, if you have him take the professional photos when you list the house, then when you close on it, you can just, because he sends you all the photos.
Yeah.
You can just make the book and then give it to them as a closing gift.
Yeah. But we'll send you photos next day after
Yeah,
after we're done shooting. So we do next day turnarounds. So you guys will receive the next day after we're done. So
What company are
quick
you with?
turnarounds, good quality, consistent service. So that's what we kind of pride ourselves on. All right.
Can you guys
I'll
hear
be
me?
here for a little bit after if you guys have any more questions. I'm gonna go live over to my other chair now.
And then they do have their contact information on that vendor wall.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is
there's my card as well as Lennon's. I just help with a lot of the marketing and stuff like that.
What was it called again? Company?
Pro Media Co.
Hey, have you guys been having conversations? With people? How have they been going?
Do you guys have football? I mean, a helmet?
I'm in, yeah, and I do wanna talk about that.
Do you have them right there?
No, yeah, the helmets, but I don't have the crayons.
You need the crayons.
No, I don't have the helmets either. I thought I did, I just have these big ones. You wanna go find them? Have you guys, I did have Bradley bring me this thing to talk about. You guys have been talking to people? Is it anybody working with buyers right now or sellers right now? Two, what's kind of the word on the street?
Claudia's actually doing all the work, so it's a neighbor of mom's that she just got a listing with and signed papers and go live tomorrow, so just had
Yay.
pictures done. I don't know if it's used, but
Yeah,
got pictures done today, so I'll probably go knock doors. We're going live tomorrow. I'll probably go knock doors. We're doing an open house on Saturday. They want it sold by the end of the month, so it's they're putting in a price point that should sell.
yeah. Yeah. For sure. So people keep saying stuff to me. It's interesting because people will say stuff to me about like nobody's buying or selling or different things, but I'm watching transactions happen every day. So it's crazy.
And I think it seriously, and I haven't done tons of this, either just a few I've done, but I think cleanliness is huge. Smell
Yes.
and no clutter, like the just as minimal as you can get it and as clean as you can have it and as generic as you can have it.
You want to appeal to the most amount of buyers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep, and we're gonna get deep into that. An age for sure too. Yeah, I love it, I love it. So we are having a fourth quarter contest. I think Sean's getting you guys some helmets and footballs. The footballs are to write a takeaway on. And the helmets you decorate, and then we're all starting on this yard line.
It's a takeaway on a specific book. So
Well, it is, but I don't know if we're gonna keep it that, or if it's just gonna be any takeaway.
leadership needs to have that conversation. So
Okay,
just today, they,
who said that?
Lauren
Okay,
said
I'll,
it's only the book.
okay,
And she's was mad at him for expanding that.
oh, he said any takeaway?
Yeah, so Tim was like, any takeaway from the lesson he did from Tuesday?
Oh, okay, well, I mean, you do what you want for a takeaway on the football. I don't actually know the rules. I don't run the I'm not on the so I do know that you can color a helmet though. And then we're all starting on this side and you get a touchdown when you get to that side and you gain yards by doing certain things. So attend a team meeting. So probably not this meeting then.
I think they said classes too.
They don't change the rules.
Yeah.
They said that Tuesday.
I think they said
Zoom
that
doesn't
Tuesday.
count.
Huh?
That Ignite.
They did say.
Yeah, they did say that on Tuesday.
Oh, graduate ignite though.
Well,
That too.
yeah, you're right.
That's 10 yards, right?
But I thought there was one on a 10, but maybe
I don't know.
No, I think so.
They said on
You
Tuesday.
have to attend.
yeah, you have to be in person. You can't do it online.
50.
And then, so in decorating your helmet, you get 3 yards. Any listing appointments you go on or buyer consultations you go on. If you do a tech audit with Bradley or Lauren, have them look at your technology to make sure your smart funds are set up and your database is clean. Complete the full fee agent and provide a takeaway. And then I guess put that takeaway on your helmet. If you send a Unity home loan application, it does say if you attend Ignite class, you get 5 yards. You guys are right. So you get 5 more yards just for staying. 10-yard gain if listings are taken, if you get a buyer agency signed, if you get anything under contract, if you graduate Ignite. I know.
You don't wanna put it up there?
No.
Why?
You know what you win? You could win a KW mug and gift card, or a KW shirt, or a lunch with Sean.
Or you could get,
I'm already.
you can get your website built.
Yeah, a custom website.
That to me is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And as it goes, we're gonna continue to get other
have more
prizes.
prizes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just got the ones I had. In fact, I stole some from other people's desks. Black, yellow, red. Well. Yeah.
Please. I want a purple one.
What do you do? They are dry erase, but do you think they'll
It'll
work?
still work, I think.
So do you know the takeaway has to be from the whole fee agent? That's what we're saying?
Yeah.
Since you're in charge of the contest, okay. That
Well,
was the official
And the
answer.
reason why we did it was because we were doing that as like our book of the month club thing. And so that's why we decided to do that one. So have you guys read that book yet?
I haven't, I got it.
It's, you can listen, I don't know if you guys listen in slow motion or fast forward, because I do, I listen. I do it in fast forward, and it's only like, it's like 3 hours. So it's like 3 days worth of driving.
How do you do it forward? What do
You just hit your playback speed.
I wish that was 3 days
Oh.
worth of driving.
Okay.
Yeah, it goes pretty, you can, it's pretty quick.
So, we want you to participate, so I think we should leave the helmets and stuff out here for people to decorate.
I only grabbed half of.
Perfect. Okay, so we're gonna talk about, let's interview us. We're running out of time today. So I'm Allison. Do you want to interview me? Just ask me some random questions.
It's up to
about-
you.
Yeah.
Or do you want to interview me?
No, we're gonna do both. Do you want me to interview you first?
Sure.
John. How long have you been in real estate?
Oh, I thought you were gonna do the role play as a seller.
I mean you as a real
This
life
is pretty
person.
really. I've been in real estate over 30 years. Yes, forever,
Has it changed?
100%.
Do you even imagine what is like now?
No,
men?
back then, you couldn't, like, if I even explain to people how we used to do business,
It doesn't.
then you guys couldn't compute it. Let alone, we couldn't compute how we do business in the future. In fact, we probably would have said, no, there's no way I'll do business out. And now that's the norm.
Yeah. When Sean started real estate, I think it's so crazy. One of the things he did was go to a seller's door with his buyers to present the offer
In the living room.
in the
with all
living room
parties.
with all parties. And then he would have to go wait in the car with the buyers while the sellers and their agent talked about it. Then they would go back
Yep,
in the
the
house.
listing agent would come out, back out the door and wave us in. And we would go back in and they present the counter, and that's how we did it. So presenting an offer was in person, and it was 3 or 4 hours. It was like a version of our mediations. That's what we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wild.
Well, yeah, there wasn't, I mean, there's facts maybe, but
No,
no facts.
not when I first started. When I first
30
started,
years ago.
I'd already been in the
When did
business a
that
couple of years. No, it was in the 90s. When it was in the 90s that they allowed it to be used.
Oh, okay.
And there's still a comment about it in our contracts today, which is weird. But we were at our version of a sales team meeting as our brokerage, and we were considered we didn't even call it tech then. But we were considered the high tech brokerage in the state at the time.
Cause you had facts.
Yeah, yes, yes. And like I said, we didn't call it tech, we didn't call it technology, that's not what, it wasn't even a word then. But our owner was bragging that we have this new fax machine and that we're like on the cutting edge. That's not his words, because we didn't have that. That wasn't a word then. And I raised my hand, and I'm young, I'm like 22 years old, you know, I was known as a little smart ass. And I raised my hand, and Lynn, I said, Lynn, that is so awesome. Then we're talking a room of like 100 people. I'm like, that is so awesome, and I'm so happy to be here. However, if we're the only brokers with the fax, facsimile, because they didn't even call it fax. If we're the only brokers with the facsimile, who do we fax? They're all like, shit, I didn't even think of that.
Better get some points right there in the middle of a
And
hundred.
you gotta keep in mind, these original facts, they'd come out on that rolled paper.
All holes on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. That's how long I've been in the business.
Okay, so how did you get your first transaction?
It was my very first transaction was a listing. And because no one trusted me as a buyer, right? Because I was too young.
Oh, okay.
And it was someone I knew, someone I worked with. So I was in the restaurant industry, and it was a waitress at one of our restaurants that I worked at that I got to know, and it was her and her older husband's house, and they needed to sell it. Turned out later on they were going through divorce, but I didn't know at the time. I didn't know what questions to ask. And he learned to hate me because he thought I was having an affair with his wife. But at the time, I had no idea. I just knew she was a waitress who mentioned to someone that she was going to be selling her house. So I started talking to her, and Next thing you know, I met with both of them, did a listing presentation. This is back in the day when we had 3-ring binders with the leaflets that you would slide your papers in and you would go through them. Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy. So your first transaction was SOI,
Yes.
so that hasn't changed
Nope.
in the
Nope.
business. Where did your last non-personal transaction?
You mean non-personal as in like
Not
not a
your-
referral or just?
No, I mean like not your personal homes, not your investment.
I would say I don't work for sell by owners or expires. I stopped doing that 100 years ago. So most of my stuff comes from referral, but I run ads regularly on my listings, not to promote myself, but to promote the listing. So I get other leads because of that source. But I would say my last transaction that was not one of my own was a referral from a friend.
Also SOI referral.
So ads like Facebook, Instagram.
I do them through command.
Yeah.
So yeah. But this referral from a friend, to quantify what this was, it's someone I've known for a long time. He's given me a couple referrals here and there, but I don't market to him regularly like I should. I don't do like the Christy Nelson approach. I don't do the Volster approach. And I 100% know that I should. I'm just not very good at it because I don't have a lot of. Anyway,
I don't know if you guys know, but.
this friend of mine works with a builder. And he said, hey, I got this couple that needs to sell their place.
Oh,
They already have it listed. No, they had it listed. However, it's been sitting on the market forever and they want to build in this subdivision and we won't take a contingent offer. Will you talk with them? And he gives me their contact info. And he didn't know their address. I didn't know their address. He just knew that they had worked with an agent in the past. So I contact them and we set the appointment. And so when I'm getting his address, I'm like, I'll check it. I pull it up. They're physically listed. They're currently active on the market with like 200 days on the market. And I'm just like, this is not a good start. So I go meet with them. They said, oh, our contracts expired 6 months ago. And the agent he texts us every month, and he's also the broker. He texts every month and says, do we want to just keep it active? That's their contract, which is completely illegal. But I'm not going to turn this guy in. I just said, you just got to get it released before I can continue talking with you. So we not only got it released, it's $1 million listing and they're buying a $700,000 home. So when you do the math on that referral, it's worth working your database 100%. Because that one transaction from those people and their kids are going to be buying a home that they now are in.
They now
contact
trust
with.
you.
Yes,
You've been
they now
honest.
trust
not
me.
this
Yep,
once in a text.
So when you put all of that together, it's like a $50,000 to $60,000 referral because that referral is turned into more business, right? So it's like, why don't I work my database like Christy does? Why don't I work my database like Foster's do? It's one of those things where it's like a kidney punch, like get to work.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
The 36 touch, you guys.
Yeah.
So the model.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, do it.
Okay, do you guys have any questions for Sean? About his business or real estate? Anything? What made you want to be a broker versus an agent?
Okay, so I was in my early 20s and I went to my broker he was well known in the industry. He's deceased now, but he's well known in the industry. And he was a straight shooter. And this was back when they were pushing the GRI and CRS. Now we have like 122 different acronyms, but I don't know what they mean. But I said, should I get my GRI or CRS? And he said, do you know what they mean? And I was like, no. And he goes,
You guys know what they mean? No.
they're the two most popular.
They're still today.
Yeah, and you pay monthly fees and you to be part of them. But he said, if you don't know what they are, do you think the consumer knows what they are? And I said, probably not. And he goes, if you want to get something, get a broker's license. That's the only thing the consumer would care about. They don't care. They don't care about your acronyms. They want to know that you're a professional and you're well trained. It's about it. They don't care about what's behind your name, right? Now, with that being said, so I thought I'll get my broker's license, but I didn't ever do it. Now by that point I started working with builders, and I had this thing because I can't say I was lazy. I was trying to shortcut, and we didn't have systems, we didn't have trainings, we didn't have anything we have today. Okay, So you guys have it so easy.
It was
compared to
like
what we do.
dog eat dog.
Yeah.
world.
So when I when I first got in the business, what's your training? Someone hands me a phone book, says start calling. I was like, who do you call? Start at the A's. That's how it was. That's what they told me. Like, can you imagine on a rotary? No, I'm just kidding. We had, I'm just kidding. We had push buttons then, but that's, we didn't have any sort of training. So, they would say, go door knocking, go work for so by owners and your expires, right? Which they say that now, right? And I thought, I don't want to go knock these individuals because I'm lazy. I want to go to the lake, I want to go on my motorcycle, I want to go hiking, I want to go skiing, whatever it was, whatever season it was. So I want to be quick. So I thought, who's got listings? And I thought, aha, builders have listings. Builders have multiple listings. If I go meet with one builder, they could have 10 listings. So it's like a for sale by owner on steroids. So that's what I thought. So I started going to all the new subdivisions. Now, we didn't have the internet, right? The internet hadn't been invented yet. And we didn't have anything like that. We didn't have social media. We didn't have anything like that. We had good old conversations and handshakes is what we had. So I would, and I'm young, I'm in my early 20s, and I would go to these builders, and I would go during the day, and I would go find who was ever working, and I would say, hey, who's the general, who's the owner? And then we start talking. The framers would say, oh, they speak in Spanish, whatever, and they start saying, you get to know who's who in these worlds, right? And back then, these subdivisions would have 5 or 6 different builders in the one subdivision, right? They didn't have what we had today, where the builder is the only one in the subdivision. It wasn't like that. So I would find out who the owners are, and I would say, hey, I'm a young realtor. I'm really super hungry. If I bring you a buyer, would you pay me a 3% commission? And they're like, well, I'm not going to list. If I'm going to list, I'm going to go list with my friend. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to list. I don't, because back then we had MLS books. We didn't have a computer. They weren't in computers. I said, I'm not asking you to list. I'm just saying, will you pay me a 3% commission if I bring you a buyer? And they're like, hell yeah. So what I would do is on the weekends when no one was there, I drove a Jeep Wrangler, had no top on it. It was a, convertible basically what they are. I would sit there with my music on in a lawn chair and flip flops. And I had real estate info here. And people would drive through, I would get their name in I would write it down on an index card, right? Their little index card, these sizes. And they would tell me which one they would want. And you get, like I said, I get to know these builders, and I would say, this one's a 3-bed, 2-bath when it's done. It'd be just framed or just sheetrock. And I would walk them through these homes. It was like an open house, but for the whole neighborhood. By Monday, I would have 3 or 4 of those index cards filled out. I would call the people back. I'd set an appointment with the builder, and we literally would write offers. And these builders were like, how are you doing this? Like, this is insane. And that's what I would do. So I did it every other week. And I would sell 2 or 3 homes a month. And I'm in my early 20s, and my office is like, my office was like, what do you do? Like, and I didn't want to tell anybody because I didn't want anyone to copy it, especially these guys who thought they were the king shit. I didn't want them to know my little strategy because they could swoop in and they could go to these builders and give me, let's not let him.
And one up him.
Yeah, one up me because they had money and I didn't. And so I wouldn't tell them what my strategy was. So I would, and we had these sales boards. They were like the size of this board up there. And my name was at the very bottom. I got a listing. I got a buyer. So your name goes up there depending on your number of transactions. And it was just a matter of time till I went from the very, very bottom up to the top. And we were a big brokerage at the time. We were some of the biggest brokerages in the state. And I went from the very bottom. We had my office had 80-some people in it. I was in the top 3, and I'm in my early 20s. And they were mind blowing. So anyway, my brokerage said, and we were a statewide brokerage. We were the largest brokerage in the state at the time. They said, we're putting together a sales training manual. Can you help do it? And I was in college at the time. And I was like, yeah, I'll help. So I was one of 3 people who wrote, we called it our 90-day to success plan. And that is one of the reasons why I got my broker's license. Because that was the same time I asked my broker, what should I do? So that's shortly after that, they brought me into brokerage management by the time I was 25. So that's my story. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
And to be completely honest, by the time I was 22 years old, I have never made less than 100 grand selling real estate. Do not get in your own way. Just go.
Even to this day, when
this
he's
day.
basically, well, you're basically triple career too, not even dual
Yeah.
career.
It-
He's still making that in the sales side.
I've never made less than 100 grand in real estate. And it's not that I'm magical. It's not. It's
You're
just,
willing to talk to people.
I'm willing to talk to people, but I also don't like people. So I, by nature, I used to, I don't love people, but I know that it's pretty simple. It's a numbers game. You just gotta be in front of enough people in order to get the transactions.
Yeah.
So I short circuit now and I go to my version of going to those new construction subdivisions is running ads on.
Yep.
And just constantly posting stuff.
And answering your phone.
Yeah.
Texting people back. Yep, and creating relationships even within this business.
If I was brand new today, I would do an open house every single week. That's what I would do until I had so much business. that I
Well, and
could
not,
do my own
and
open house.
and you guys have done the open house class, but he doesn't mean just do an open house. He means all the pre-work before the open house, hosting the open house, and all the work after the
That
open house.
after work is where it's.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to do all the stuff before if you're not gonna follow.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Okay, I'll go through me because we're like way over time. But I'm Allison. Do you want to ask me questions? Or do you want me to? just-
Yeah, Allison, how long have you been in the business?
9 years.
9 years. What's been your favorite part about the business?
I love people, unlike you.
I used to love you.
I love people more, I just love the community feeling too. in real estate.
What's your least favorite part?
Of the of this business, of being a real estate.
Of the industry or profession?
Right, what is my least favorite part? Probably also the people, really, because they don't always tell you the truth and they think that they know, and I'm not saying I'm a know-it-all, but oftentimes buyers and sellers want, like what we were talking about, want to control the relationship. And I want to guide you, I know the path, and the path they're on isn't gonna get them the goals they want. So probably those people for both.
That's awesome. I think that the people who think, there's a lot of people get in the industry because they want to work their own hours and they think that we have free time, right? Clearly mistaken, because this is a job that so we got we all know friends that, or even spouses or whatever, that they work the 9-to-5 jobs. Okay, this is nothing against the 9-to-5ers. No offense to 9-to-5ers.
Well, Sean and I basically also both work at 9 to 5. Right? Like, it's different because we're in real estate.
No, but
All right.
they have a different mentality, because when they're off work, they're off work.
Oh, yeah, that,
We're never off work.
I see what you're saying.
We're never off work, right? So we're thinking, like, okay, so your friends that are the 9-to-5ers, or I'm gonna call them some of the hill fielders, they get their every other Friday off, they're gonna go to the sand dunes, they're gonna go to this, or go hunt, whatever it is. They got every other weekend planned of stuff. When in reality, if we're gonna out hustle the next person, our weekend's filled with open houses. And when all our friends are getting off and going to the football game, the bar, the concert, whatever it is, we're door knocking for our open house. We're showing homes, right? So we don't have that. Now, at the same time, they can't just leave work to go to our kids' baseball game or ballet recital, right? We can do whatever we want. The thing is, we have to set our own schedules and commit to the schedule that we've set, and we can do whatever we want. You literally you all could pull your smartphones out, because I'm sure every one of you have a smartphone. You guys could put in their trip to Paris. Right? Do you have to ask for it off? No. So where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Paris? When are you going? Like, literally put it in there. Because here's why I'm saying, put it in your schedule, right? So if your dream vacation is to go to Oktoberfest and you want to spend a month there.
Oh, I was like, your dream vacation.
Yeah,
So basic.
yeah, no, I mean Germany. In real life, but you want to go there for a month because you want to tour all of Germany. Put it in there. Now, it may not be tomorrow that you get to go, right? I don't know when the actual Oktoberfest starts. I don't know if it's the complete month of October, but put it in there for 2025. Because if you have it in there and it becomes a focal point, you're going to create the trip. If that's a focal point and it's in your calendar and you're holding yourself to your calendar, you're going to create the ability and the opportunity to get the plane tickets to get the reservations at the hotels. You're gonna create the friend group that's gonna go with you. That will happen if you put it in your calendar. Now, if it's just in our head and it's something that someday, those sellers aren't gonna show up. Because they're someday gonna show up. When is that someday? That someday is today.
Love it.
If you put it out there that you're going to have a new lead in the next 24 hours, I 100% guarantee you will.
Yeah.
In fact, I will bet you guys,
I
bet you
want
guys
to.
lunch right now. If you put it out there to the universe
You have to read.
and full commit.
Yeah.
Do you guys know, do you guys ever follow Dr. Wayne Dyer? He's deceased, but he's a philosopher. And he says, I'm gonna get the quote wrong. Infinite knowledge, or what is it? Infinite something creates immediate results. But I think it's infinite knowledge. Like if you know something's gonna happen, and you just know it's gonna happen, it shows up immediately in your world. And I promise you it does. That's when I said earlier, you gotta get out of your own way. You gotta quit doubting yourself and go to work.
And not be afraid of rejection. Cause it's just.
You don't need to
part
worry
of
about
business,
rejection. There's no
yeah.
rejection.
Yeah. Huh?
There's no rejection. People just don't always nice.
Yeah.
Right? Unlike me, I already admitted I don't like everybody, right? You don't have to like everybody. The people who want to work with you are glad you knocked on their door or called them.
You gotta go after your ideal clients. I can't find the quote, but I do know that's true, but you have to be fully committed. For sure. Okay, today we're gonna talk about sellers, so maybe you're a new lead will be a seller. That'll be exciting, right? So. Let's see, we're to the end now in the transaction. So today we're gonna do win the seller and work with buyers and sellers. Next week on Tuesday, we'll have Corey and Rhonda do make and receive offers and negotiate offers. And on Thursday, we'll do get to the close and plan your future with Russie and Wade. That will be exciting. Okay, we're gonna talk about A sellers. How are we gonna get to the appointment? What's a pre-listing packet? What happens on the listing appointment? Getting that listing agreement signed. You guys are gonna tell us everything amazing you learned. And we're gonna get to work. Okay, while leads are vital to your sales business, seller listings are critical to your ability to build it to its highest level with the lowest costs and highest net. So when I read that, what does that make you guys think? Like, why are seller listings critical to your ability to build a business?
Well, seller listings are, again, the most efficient way of making money, because buyers are running all over town. You're running to 30 different homes all over the valley.
Yeah.
It's not a good use of your time. Whereas with the seller listings, you know, you have the listing appointment and maybe a couple additional appointments between the buyer or the sellers and you as the agent.
But you don't gotta show them 35 homes.
Yeah, you know, and you can list it, and you can do most of the work from home.
Mhm.
The marketing and the.
Well, and you can market a listing, right, to bring in more buyers, to bring in, and then you can refer those out if you don't wanna use them in. Sometimes the people that are buying are gonna have to list too. You can market a listing a whole lot more than you can market a buyer. You can market a buyer, like post on social media or call your SOI, hey, I have a buyer looking for this property, who do you know, right? But it's way more efficient and effective to market a house than a person. So, I agree. Did I go the wrong way? All right, so let's see, I wrote notes. As we talk about listings and sellers, just, no. Identify, I just took notes, hold on. Nope, we're gonna go to A qualified sellers. So an A qualified seller is able, ready, and willing to do business, they say in the next 14 days. So this is kind of like the segmenting your database thing that we were talking about. Really, these people are gonna get most of your attention, right? If a seller wants to sell in 6 months, we're not gonna throw them away, but we're just not gonna hold all of our eggs in
what
this
they tell
basket
you
in
in-
6 months.
Yeah, what they tell you in time is usually about half that.
Yeah, cut it.
So if they say they're gonna sell in 6 months, oh, we'll do it in 6 months. they're lying to you. You call them in 6 months, you put it in your account, okay, I'll call you back in 6 months. They're like, okay, great. They've already got it listed and sold. So it's usually half that. Now, don't be hung up on the 14 days.
Exactly.
Because it could be that, yeah, I think a couple weeks, yeah, so you're thinking 14 days. But what they really have to do is, they gotta clean out the rain gutters, they gotta paint the front door, they got to, whatever they gotta do to get the house ready, right? We were talking about some of that stuff earlier. They gotta start working on that. That's gonna take them the 2 weeks. So it's those conversations, that's how you know that they're a media A buyer or seller.
Yep.
So.
I love it, I love it. So there's 3 L's of the MREA. We talked about this last class too. So listings, leads, and leverage is the best way, the model we use to build a big business. So this is what it has to be. And it's gonna be a quote. I'm just yep, okay, so first, who's heard of Pareto's principle? Leave it on this. You guys know what Pareto's principle is?
20.
Yep, the 80-20 rule. Yep, so while leads are vital to your sales business, let's see, well, the sellers listings are critical to your ability to build it to its highest level with the lowest cost enticement. That's what we read earlier, which is that 80-20 rule. So that's, if we gonna focus our 20% on listings, that will bring us 80% of our business. Okay, so the virtues of seller listings, and we've kind of talked about this. Seller listings mean marketing opportunities because it's way easier to market a home. You have more control of your time. Seller listings maximize your per hour compensation because you're not out showing 35 homes and your gas money to a buyer. Volume. So you can, how many buyers can you work with at once?
Depends how, where they're at.
Yeah,
They're
and how
probably-
many, yeah, if they're in Provo, right, you could not work with very many, how many listings can you take compared to how many buyers you can work with? Substantially more. Yeah, so with seller listings, you're on the front end of pricing, you own the inventory of the market, we own the goods that we're selling. And properly marketed seller listings bring you more business. Okay, there, you guys, this is super similar to the buyer. Once you, that you guys saw, so we're gonna have lead conversion, then the pre-listing appointment, then the listing consultation, which I like to think of that people get really nervous about having a presentation at a listing appointment, or how am I gonna talk them into listing with me? Think of it more as like an educational appointment. You're gonna help them discover, is it really right for them to move? And this is what the house will be. It's so you can take the pressure off you that it's a big presentation style appointment. It's a conversation you're gonna have with them. Then you're gonna service and market them. Once they sign with you, you're gonna work through offers and negotiations, get the contract to close. There's a lot to manage once it goes under contract, and then you want a post system to follow up with them. Does anybody want to pick what's the one step you want to work on in your system?
Mine's the listing consultation. I just,
You want to get really good at that?
yeah, Claudia's never had like a set system. And I'd like to firm that up a little bit.
How are you gonna do it?
Well, talk to Dalton. Just talked.
You're gonna do his role play?
Yeah, so I'm doing the script, training with them, and, we've had several conversations about both the buyer and the listing consultations,
Yeah,
and, something that I know I need to work with.
so you're gonna work on it by kind of sourcing some information from other agents,
Yeah.
probably practicing
So
it.
Claudia is so good with just developing a relationship with someone immediately, and there's a certain type of person that appeals to, and she'll get the contract every time. But there's this other set of types of customers with different personalities that I'll appeal to more just because of my approach. But I don't have the words that she does or the relationship development that she does, so I need to get the right words as I go through that presentation, present the materials and everything, so
And
You
then,
practicing?
I am.
Yeah.
Good.
if you guys are gonna present together, you might wanna practice one on your own.
Yeah.
And then practice one where you're presenting together as well.
For sure, yeah, and we're gonna develop systems and we'll be able to read, you know, the type of person, because we've had both types of clients. And you know, the last 4 years, I've gone on almost every listing appointment she's been on, and I've participated in those listing appointments, and there are certain people that kind of gravitate towards my presentation style more than hers.
Mhm.
So I think we'll have a good team to kind of approach the 4 types of personalities that you kind of run into, so.
Yep, yeah,
And
For sure.
what you'll figure out is the more you practice it, the more comfortable it gets. That you can change it or on the fly, you know, this personality is more this way or more that way. You can change on the fly with it seeming natural and uncanny.
cause it is natural,
It
cause
is
now you
natural.
know it,
The
yeah.
more you practice it, I can't say that enough. You just gotta practice it. Even if you're standing in front of the mirror. It's not bad to record
I
yourself
recorded myself, that's how I got.
and then play it back and you're like, oh, I can't believe I said it. That sounded pretty good. And you write down like,
Then I was like, stop saying
Yeah.
mom,
yeah, or you're like, yeah, I can't.
stop saying like.
Those people who say makes sense. They say something, they say that makes sense. That's not a good
That's
tie
not a
down.
tie down.
Yeah, it's not a good tie down. I've seen people even put that in the contract. Don't do that. They write something out and they say, does this make sense? I'm like, no, you don't want, a lawyer's gonna eat you up if that one goes wrong.
Right. So just think of this as the 7-step seller service cycle, and you've got to master each section of these 7 steps. So be thinking for you, which one you want to work on first. Ideally, it's gonna be in the order, right? You're gonna work on leads and you're gonna get leads and you're gonna get them converted, and then you're gonna work on each set of the system. Don't feel like you have to build this whole system out before you can talk to people, because you're gonna build that system out, and then you're not, when you go to talk to people, you're gonna find out, oh, it doesn't actually work that way.
Yep, you'll
So-
tweak it over time.
Mhm. So just use what we've got and get talking to people for that. Okay, we kind of share our ahas as we go. Okay, keys to converting your A sellers. So you want to respond right away to lead inquiries. You'll hear us say speed to lead all the time. How quickly do you think you should respond to an inquiry, a lead inquiry? Ooh, perfect. Yeah, immediately. What if you can't?
They'll probably call someone else.
Yeah, there's a possibility they'll call someone else. But that doesn't mean just give up on them, right?
No.
Still reach out and call them as soon as you can. But right away or under 1 minute is really, you've got to get there, because they've already clicked onto the next house or the next agent that they're going to. Unless you have a relationship with them. Okay, get valid and complete contact information. Why should we have that?
So you chat to them and do your smart plans and.
How are you gonna communicate with them if you don't have that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, determine their motivation to sell so you can speak to it. So sometimes we think sellers want what? The most money. Sometimes they want something else. They want the most money and, right? But normally that end makes a bigger difference. So oftentimes it's like a time frame they have or something.
Like that one that Claudia is,
Mhm.
they're willing to take less money so they can get it sold.
Because they were behind the ball on getting in
Yeah.
contact with
Their
them.
mom, yeah, their mom died.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
like, there's 3 siblings, they're trying to split the money, so like get it sold.
Well, and they're probably stressed and all of the emotions that come with that, and they just want the one part of it done. Mhm. Yep, so it's not always money, so you wanna know their motivation, so that when you're meeting with them, you can say, we can get your home sold quickly. And what if you don't know their motivation was quick on time and you price the house a little bit higher to test the market? Now you've ruined you can't meet their expectations because you didn't know them. Okay, set an appointment time, the time and date for as soon as possible and send a pre-listing packet. So when we set appointments, do you think we say, hey, when can you meet?
Have your free dates and times, give them 2 options.
Yep. Can you meet today at 4 or tomorrow at 3? Right, because then we control our schedule. That's how you get the
That's
time
the one
freedom.
I'm struggling on the most, but it's very important and I need to be better at that.
Yeah, Cause when they can meet with you, you may not be able to. And I have flexibility in my schedule. I don't only have to meet with them those 2 times. So if those 2 times don't work, then maybe I'll start to say, well, which is better for you, mornings or afternoons? Which day works better for you? And then I'm gonna find a way that matches it up.
So what I suggest, and your calendar's gonna evolve over time, right? But automatically set when your listing appointments are gonna be in your calendar. So take out your phone right now. And put your times. Pick pick 2 in the afternoon, say 1 at 2 and 1 at 4,
5 or something.
right? And then have that repeat every single day. Obviously, if you have a trip to Germany planned, you
For
can.
October.
For Oktoberfest, you can delete it on those times, but literally set it in there every day. Or set it every weekday, and just hit the repeat button or whatever you call that. And so whenever you talk to someone, you automatically know you already have that marked out for listing appointment. Then when someone says, hey, Allison, can you meet tomorrow at 2 or 4, which works better for you? You would say,
Yeah, I can meet at 4.
I can meet at 4. So I go in there and I edit that one and I put her name and address in it. Bam, it's already scheduled. So now my schedule is cleared for the rest of my life for those 2 and 4s.
Plus you gamify it, because now you're trying to fill that time slot.
Now, let's say, Allison, can you meet tomorrow at 2 or 4?
Oh, no, I can't.
All right, what other time could you possibly meet? Because I could probably adjust one of these. Let me see what I can do.
Well, I just don't get off work. I just don't get home from work till 4:30.
Oh, that's understandable. So you want to go at like 5 or 5:15?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Perfect. I still take that 4 o'clock and now I edit it. Same thing, but I also edit the time.
And then
Yeah.
you know what I did?
She knows I'm busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now guess what? Why he's created like a mindset where I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a busy agent. I want to work with him. Yeah. And then what I did for my listing appointments, when I would have those appointments in my calendar, if I didn't have an appointment scheduled, I would practice my listing presentation. During that time.
So maybe start with just one in your calendar for every day. But you'll get to the point where if you get 2 listing appointments every day and that's your goal, then you wake up Monday morning and you're like, man, my overall goal was to go on 2 listing appointments all week, but I have them slated for 2 a day. I gotta go fill these. You're gonna wake up, you're gonna fill it, and then it's like by Wednesday, you have those full, and you're like, I already hit my goal. I'm gonna clear it for Thursday and Friday. And I'm gonna go, whatever. Work on your planning of your Germany trip. I don't know,
You're gonna be able to afford to go to Germany if you do it like that, though.
100%.
Yeah. Okay, for sure. Hey, so what do you guys think sellers want from their agents?
Communication.
Communication, competence, know-how. Anything else? Anyone online? You guys want to contribute? You can too. So really, this is a little percentage chart, so 27% want other. 21% want to help the seller find ways to fix up the home to sell it for more. So there's lots of ways you can tell them to do that, right? You don't want to go in and tell them to remodel this whole home. And now they have to overprice it because they put all this $80,000 into these remodels, and an appraiser's not going to give them value on that. So you want to make sure you know the market. The best way to know the market like that is to go preview properties. Go look at them.
So let's role play that real quick. She's a seller, I'm the agent, and we talked about the 14 days, or the things they say during that 14 days, but she's not ready because she's got to do X, Y, Z, right? So Allison, does 2 or 4 work for you?
Yeah, I can do 4.
You do 4? Okay. You're supposed to say no.
No,
I
I
have to
can't
get
do
my
4.
house ready.
I'm not ready to meet quite yet. My house isn't ready.
Oh, you know what? Let's still meet at the 4 o'clock time if that works for you, because I can go through your home and in 15 or 20 minutes, I can give you a bunch of stuff that you could work on to help make your home more sellable. Do you think, and that would be little or no cost, would that be something that would be beneficial to you?
Well, yeah.
Then
Yeah.
let's do it. Right? So now I
And
have
then
2
he can
listing
say all
appointments.
this
Can we
stuff.
just record Sean
I
saying
go
that
through
and
and
play
actually
it?
showing me the house, we can have a conversation. I'm building a rapport. I don't have to present anything. I just talk to her about her house. And it could be something as simple as, and do you guys know what to look for? Do you guys know what FHA is gonna flag?
I'm
Okay,
starting.
so if you don't, talk to your lender and get some of that stuff, but you're looking for like. Stuff that might need to be repainted, cleaned, decluttered, washed. Just, you're not doing a full-blown inspection, you're going through and giving them. Stuff that they can do over the weekend that they're gonna be working on. She said that, oh, I can't
I was
listen for
already
a
gonna
couple
get
of
my house
weeks, cause I'm gonna get my house ready. Well, great, I can give you some pointers from my experience and from the NAR, the National Association of Realtors study that they do every single year. Cause they don't get access to that stuff. Right? And it's like, oh, okay, I'll come, he's not gonna, there's no pressure, he's not gonna, present to me, he's just gonna help me. Cool. And it could be, you get in a conversation and you realize she's got a whole big garage in the back that she can't even open the door because it's got so much stuff in it, and it's like, hey, do you need my dump trailer? Like, then you're creating that relationship with them. And you walk away and you're like, I don't even own a dump trailer, what am I gonna do? So you put in our Facebook thing and say, hey, has anyone got a dump trailer? I got a seller who could use one. And there's people who would probably say, yeah, cool, I got one.
Or, I just had sellers rent one from U-Haul and it was like $80.
Yeah,
It
you can
wasn't
rent them
not
for like
expensive.
$100, yeah.
Thing, a city thing.
Yeah, different neighborhoods do them, they put out those big, huge monster
Oh, the
dumpsters.
dumpsters, yeah.
So I mean, but it's like one of those things where you're now building rapport. Now, if they say, oh my gosh, you have access to a dump trailer, yeah, sure, I can lend you one for a weekend. They're not gonna go list with someone else. Once you start doing those kind of conversations.
One of my best friends sells real estate for nothing. Come over here, but he absolutely gets business off owning a dump trailer, 100%.
But at that point, as you're building your report, are you giving them documentation that needs to be signed, like a buyer broker?
Well,
Or
if I'm gonna,
this would
if
be
I'm
like
going,
listing.
if I'm going to go bring in my dump trailer,
Oh.
there could be a conversation, dump trailers are kind of expensive, and for my insurance that, one of the things I let people do is when they list with me, so do you want to sign a disclaimer for liability for the dump trailer or just sign a listing? You could ask that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, are we at 16% help sell the home within a specific time frame? What Jason's got going on. And 20% help seller market the home to buyers. And 21% help price the home competitively. So 1, 2, 3 of those things is getting to know the market really good. So previewing properties. What, okay, 27% of sellers use their previous realtor. So keeping in contact with your database is super, super important. Okay, how can you build trust and confidence with sellers? So they gotta know you're competent, right? To
Yeah,
get
you gotta
confidence
be
in you.
knowledgeable when you're talking about the market.
Yeah.
About things like what would improve value or be able to get a loan for the home.
Mhm. And sometimes they just wanna brainstorm with somebody else. What does it look like if I move? What does it look like if I don't? So we can get that. I love it. So let's do 7 close to appointment tactics. So your job is actually not to sell them at this appointment, it's to provide value. And then if you provide enough value in the dump trailer could be a piece of your value, or any of the things, knowing the market, knowing the contracts, knowing what they should do to be ready for pictures. That's gonna provide value to them, and then they will sign with you. So there's different closes. These are in the emails Bradley sends out. You guys got an Ignite toolkit in one of them, and in the back of that Ignite toolkit is an Ignite script book. I don't know if you guys you've clicked on that link. And so in that script book is all of these different kinds of closes. So we could show the benefits to them, right? And then ask them to sign. We could do the take back close. The take back close, do you know what that is, Sean?
Say that again,
The
sorry.
take back close, it's okay. Take
Oh,
back close.
yeah.
Give us an example if you can, or do you want me to come back to it? You gotta finish that.
no, but it was possible. He was trying to call me, so I was texting him.
The take back close, I don't know what that is for real. I have offer end soon. If you sign with me tonight,
You know what, I just was using the example of my dump trailer, and let's say that they didn't want to sign my listing agreement, say, that's all that's really part of what I do is I offer this to and including whatever, my moving truck, this photo thing, whatever you're talking
Professional
about.
photos.
Yeah, whatever it is they like. I can only order those photos and once you sign the commitment, I can't. do
Oh,
that.
and I absolutely only order photos after this.
I can only lend you my dump trailer if you've already signed our list.
Okay, yeah.
Cause that would make me feel guilty because all my other clients have required him to do so. Sorry, it's just my policy. And they'll go, oh, all right.
Well, and you used an example of one of the other weeks where they wanted to listen to you high and you're just like, or maybe it wasn't you, it was someone else that was doing the class. And you're like, well, look, I've shown you the comps and this is kind of where we need to be. And you're saying we need to do this. I don't think this is maybe not the right time for us to work together.
Mhm.
And then,
And then like, wait, what? Yep. Yeah, and then we have the negative positive close, so that's turning a negative into a positive. Like I can appreciate, or well, let's not use appreciate, I understand that you said their mom died or whatever on yours.
Yes.
I understand your mom passed away and I know how hard that is. And I can be the one to guide you through that, because I have experienced that, something like that, turning a negative into a positive. Give them what they're looking for. Hey, yeah, you want to sell your house by the end of October, I can do that. We can do that for you. The trial close, I call this the temperature check, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable and confident are you that you'll list with me? Or whatever, right? And then they'll say 7, and I'm like, 7? Like, what the heck usually if you're a 7, I've left something unsaid. What would it take for me to be a 10? And so just having conversations like that, and then you really get what's out of them, why they wouldn't sign with you. The assumptive close, so when we work together, after you sign this paper, we're gonna work together, right? Just know that they're gonna close it, and then tie downs like, does this make sense? Just kidding. Tie downs like, when I can get this home sold for you by the end of October after what I've presented to you, when you agree. And getting them to agree to that. So people are really afraid of objections on listing appointments. There's 2 things, there's an objection and a question, and I like to say there's objections and conditions as well. So oftentimes people just have questions. Hey, what do I have to do to get my home ready? Right? Or sometimes they have objections. Another agent could do it for less. And then you've got to sell yourself on why. So oftentimes we get afraid that we have to know the difference between a question and an objection. Because if you're on this listing appointment and they're like, yeah, we need to buy a bigger house. And then they start asking me about bankruptcy. I'm like, well, that's a question, not an objection. They may not qualify to buy another house. So do we really want to sell this house? So just make sure that you're understanding the difference between some things they're not necessarily objections, them objecting to want to work with you.
But let's address your example.
Yeah.
If they say we're filing bankruptcy, we may not be able to buy another house, they will you have the ability to have a down payment? Because bankruptcy in the state of Utah, we're one of the, I think there's only 7 states that have the homestead act. You're allowed to still have a home. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well, they can buy it with trustee approval, is that where you're going?
even if the courts can't take your home. They can't take your home in bankruptcy, okay? Now you can get foreclosed because you didn't pay the payments on it, right? So that doesn't work. But if you're in bankruptcy, that is the legal raising of your white flag saying, I surrender, help me restructure my debt. That's what a bankruptcy is. But they cannot take your home. So if you were to sell this home and your credit's trashed because of everything that came up to the bankruptcy, you may not be able to get a mortgage. However, if they have enough for a down payment, which the trustee should allow, you can usually find seller financing to do it. So don't let the bankruptcy scare.
Sometimes
People
there's
assume they
questions and then you've got to go find the solution.
Yeah, people assume they can't buy a home because of bankruptcy, and that's not always the case.
I love it. Okay, so.
do we have any classes on owner financing? And how we would work?
On
with
occasion,
realtors? That would be something I would like.
Ken
to
does
learn
them a
about.
lot.
yeah, so Ken's done them on his Friday,
Compliance.
compliance, contracts compliance, whatever he calls it. So he'll ask at that class, what is a topic you guys want? And he's done the seller financing a handful of times. And it is something that you'll see and you'll utilize in your career. And I'm one of those people where if you come across a seller that's going to do seller financing and or a lease option, throw my way, because I'll buy real estate all day long.
I was just thinking that if you won the touchdown and you got lunch with leadership, you could go with Sean and he could tell you all about seller financing.
So seller financing is slick. Okay, so let me give you the reasons why it's. There was and I don't even know what the laws are anymore because I don't even care because I have to just work the way around. So there was a time frame where they said you could only have 5 mortgages. So once you get 5 mortgages, that's dumb. Once you get 5 mortgages, you can't have any other mortgages. So you can't buy your 6th property until one of them is paid off. That was dumb. That was slowing down the economy. So they raised that rule to 10. I believe that might be in place. Then after was 2007, 8, and 9 when everything crashed, they got rid of that rule and they said for a limited period of time you can have as many mortgages as you want. So the idea was to help recover the economy. But then they put the law back into place. So now you're limited to how many mortgages you can have again. Like I said, I don't even care how many mortgages it is because you had to navigate around it anyway before. So that's where seller financing comes into play. Because if you're limited to only having 10 mortgages, I can't buy my 11th property unless it's private funded. So that's where you start looking for those opportunities. So a savvy seller may know that rule and they're like, yeah, I'll sell it financially, not a big deal. There's also other ways around it. You can go to your credit unions, private banks. Let's say an example would be is a lot of the credit unions, you can go and say, okay, I have 10 properties. Here's the equity in them. This one's got a ton of equity. This last one's got little equity, but here's the gamut of it. They can consolidate all of those homes into one mortgage, pay off all of the other loans. So now you only have one loan, even though it's on time properties. Does that make sense? Now you can buy 9 more of those. Wow. Do you see what I'm saying? So there's always ways around it. So don't let it slow you down.
So seller financing is typically you're bringing in a pretty hefty down payment.
Not always.
No, someone I know just going for like $5,000 down.
Really?
I'll do those all day. I got excited. So we had a listing. This was, I don't even know how many years ago. We had a listing, our brokerage did. And one of the agents said, hey, Sean, this seller's doing a seller finance lease option thing where they bought it from a friend. And they bought it from a friend because he's a contractor and he was remodeling it for her. She couldn't afford to pay him. So they worked out a deal where she just sold it to him. But now he needs to free up that money in order to go do this other subdivision that he got the opportunity to do. And here's the deal that we were selling it for. And this buyer doesn't want to do it. And it literally was like 3% down and like take over the payments. And
It was like better than the bank would have offered.
yeah. And when I did the math on it, I'm like, I could rent it and make $500 and I could come in with my commission. So I said, well, present that to the buyer, and if that buyer still says no, then I'm willing to do that deal. But as a principal broker, we have to release the listing, but I still want my commission. And she goes, well, I would still want my commission too. I said, but he would have to do a for sale by owner agreement and just pay his commissions. And she's like, okay. So she went and presented it. That buyer's like, well, give me overnight to think about it because we don't want to put any pressure on anyone. But it was like one of those dumb deals. I walked into this home literally with nothing out of my pocket, making $500 a month the next month. It was like
On a newly remodeled home.
it was halfway remodeled
Okay.
because when he moved in,
He stopped.
he stopped remodeling it. So
Got it.
yeah, it was one of those things where I would buy 10 of these if I could.
Okay,
Those are out there.
yep. But you gotta be searching. And it's interesting. Even off, but she buys a lot of flips too, but it's interesting because investors will come to us looking for the deals, but if the deal's good enough, we're gonna buy. Investors aren't gonna get our best deals. Hey, so do you guys know what it means to move from E to P? Entrepreneurial, purposeful. We learned about this in the first class, in the 6 personal perspectives. So it's about creating you move from entrepreneurial to purposeful when you can rinse and repeat. When you've built a model and a system around it, then you can have breakthroughs and then you're gonna tweak your system. Cause you're gonna keep hitting that natural ceiling of achievement. So you're gonna have to
Well,
keep-
when you're purposeful also, it taps into your big why and you have different reasons to do what you're doing.
Mhm.
So it's more passion behind it.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that we are being entrepreneurial and purposeful. So that you can create something that you can reuse over and over and over. So when you guys. Cause you said you've been on quite a few listing appointments, so when you guys go on those, is it different every time, or is it
Yeah.
pretty much the same every time? Oh, and we gotta make it the same every time, right? We gotta have a list of questions to ask and. Some things that we wanna make sure that we're going over, cause otherwise you lose control of that appointment. And it turns into, now you're going on a 3 or 4 hour list appointment instead of an hour. So in this, we want you guys to follow our models and build your own systems around that. Do what works for you and match your personality. So a pre-listing packet is one of the things you can do to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful. So a pre-listing packet. You're gonna pre-sell, so you're building the seller's confidence, you're answering questions and objections before you get there. It saves time because it makes their consultation experience smoother and shorter because now they know all about you and you can use that appointment to learn about them. It also states your value, so it tells the seller what you bring to that. So I'm just making sure I'm going on my little notes. Okay, are you gonna, so think about your pre-listing packet, are you gonna review it in the listing presentation? So be thinking about that, if what you wanna do. Does it eliminate the need for a listing consultation? Is it a primer for education you will provide at the listing consultation? So,
I do suggest on your listing consultation, or your presentation, have a digital copy and have a paper copy. Because you'll have some walks of life who are anti-computers or they don't love technology, right? So they feel more comfortable if you have actual paper. And then you'll have other ones who are like, I can't believe they're wasting paper, right? Because we talked about the different personalities. You kind of get to know what their preference is depending on how they want to communicate. So, but if you have both in the same way, but just in different formats, it's easier.
so if you send a pre-listing packet to somebody and then you don't ever follow up with it, do you think they read it? Like a 50-50 chance.
Yeah, I mean, you should be committing them to read it
Yeah,
in the conversation.
you gotta sell them, so you can follow up with them and say, hey, did you review that listing packet? That packet I dropped off yesterday. Also, oh, hey, do you have a spare key? I'm gonna need that for the lockbox, right? So you can preempt them on the things you need them to do for the listing appointment to go more smooth. Cause they don't know how important that is and how much time that will actually save. We do have pre-listing packets that you can make in command. Okay, and then the seller consultation preparation checklist. So you are gonna deliver your pre-listing packet, you're gonna confirm your appointment date, time and location. So after the pre-listing packet, we can say, hey, we're meeting tomorrow at 4. I just wanna make sure everybody that is on the title or anybody that's gonna be part of this decision can be there, is that correct? And they'll say yes or no, and if they say no, we should reschedule it to when they all can be there. Do you know how many times you'll meet with someone? The house is in a trust and you're gonna meet with someone who you think is the decision maker and they're not? Way more than we wanna admit. So just make sure you're getting all the decision makers there. Complete and practice your listing presentation. Practice, practice, practice. Review the lead sheet. So you're gonna fill out a lead sheet on them or have it in command so you know about them, so you can review that. And then arrive to the listing presentation in a professional manner. I'm gonna tell you guys some tips, but I like to go to my listing appointments about 15 or 20 minutes before the actual appointment. And I'm gonna pull up Zillow right there from my phone and see if anything for sale by owners are listed around there that maybe I didn't know about. So that I can really talk to what's happening in that neighborhood. I'm gonna drive up and down the streets of the neighborhood and see if I notice a new for sale sign or how close they are to the park or different things. So getting there early and then getting to know that neighborhood a little bit, just the 20 minutes early helps me be more professional, and then they really know that I did the research and I care about their property. Any aha?
Well, that was a good one. I didn't think about getting there early enough that you start, cause I kind of like did the research prior to, but, I just like even just being there present and seeing it is, I think you can talk better to it probably.
Yeah, well, and then you're not all rushed and flustered running up to their door at 2 minutes after the appointment time started.
Yeah,
Too.
that's true.
Okay, on the listing appointment, the goal is to get a signed listing agreement. So you want to create a great impression to build the seller's confidence in you. You want to share your price recommendations. I always like to use the words pricing as a collaboration, but I don't define the price, and you don't define the price. The market is really gonna tell us the price. We've got to sell your home 3 times, once online, once to the buyer, and once to the appraiser. So we've got to be pricing it in the range that we need to be in.
I like to do it a 2-part appointment. So I'll always do the research ahead of time, and I'll get the range for the area. But I don't want to drill it down until I physically see the property, and it gives me a good follow-up call anyway. So,
Well, and I talk to them too. I never tell them it's a 2-step appointment, but I do bring that range, and then I tell them, honestly though, I use dynamic pricing. So if we're meeting today and you're not gonna be live for a month, we are gonna relook at the market right before we list to make sure we're on point with the pricing.
Are you getting signatures in that first appointment?
not always.
I do.
So,
Yeah.
because I don't get signatures, I typically will just,
You have them signed digitally after, right?
yes.
Yeah.
So I'll get a commitment.
So we had that script practice this morning, and Dalton is 100%. You're signing right now when I do this listing
Same.
appointment.
With me.
Miguel, he does a 2-step appointment where he'll do the initial listing appointment where we'll walk through the house. Then he'll actually set a second appointment to come into the office, and he always makes some signs in the office here. So that's what he did. That was interesting.
Yeah.
And I've had the objection, I haven't had this happen to me, but I've seen the objections happen both ways. Like where one agent will come in and say, oh, they couldn't price your home, they didn't do the research in advance, that's why you should sign with me, right? And then the 2-step agent is telling everybody, oh, they can't accurately price your home without being in it. So you just gotta make sure that you have your handlers to that objection.
You can always give them stories and experiences. You
Yeah.
can even use mine if you want, why to do a certain way. And one of the examples that when I was a young agent, thinking I knew everything. This place was a referral from a friend. And when I did my general research, it was like a patio home it was out in Plain City. It was a patio home in a subdivision. And I go price it, I was literally $1 million off. So I completely.
$1 million?
$1 million off. Because their home was in a regular subdivision, but they owned all of the land behind the subdivision. They owned like an additional 100 acres. They had like a 50-horse, a 50-stall barn.
Yeah.
Like they had these crowds, they had those walking things. It was like a ranch. I had no clue. I just thought I was pricing patio. Do you know what I mean? And I completely offended them.
Sounds like you didn't do a pre-listing interview with
No.
them either.
No, it was a referral from a friend, and I did not do any of the, like I said, I thought I was the kingpin, that I could just walk in and get the listing, and I completely offended them. That was.
Well, and I think agents think that they need to know it all, and so they're afraid to ask the sellers questions, but you've got to ask them, what updates have you done in the last few years? What sets your house apart from the neighbors so that you can price it correctly, or go out and see it for your eyes?
Well, I think that might be what I'm supposed to teach is when you meet with them physically at the house. Which one is mine?
This one.
So all this. So my approach is. Yeah, so when I get there, I have them show me the house if I'm a buyer. And I'll say that, hey, you know what? I know we're here to talk about your listing, but I want you to show me the home as if I'm a buyer. I want you to show me all the things, all the upgrades you've done.
Why
I want you to show me, you know, what you think is cool, what you don't like about your home. I want you to show me like as if I'm a buyer, like sell it to me. And they walk me around the house and they're showing me this, this, and this, and this. And I'm just going, huh, so that's where I'm building my rapport. And so that's what I use for my two-step pricing is, well, now that I've seen the home, I can better accurately, because you've shown me, and the stuff that they said was cool, I agree with them that it's cool, even if it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Because now they like me.
The $30,000 fire.
Yeah. Like they,
And they think that
Depending on
makes
their
their home
age,
value
yeah.
$35,000 and you're like, no.
yeah, it's depending on their age. And it's more often the older people, but they'll like, it's a brand new furnace, brand new water heater. And when you take a picture of it, because I always do for my own stuff, it's 5 years old. But it's brand new to them because it was last summer they had it installed, but it really wasn't. It was 5 summers ago.
Because time is.
Because time is, it just goes so fast and they don't realize. Oh, it's got a brand new roof. And then we do the research. I got the warranty on it. They pull it out and it's like 13 years old. Like, that's not brand new.
You're like the warranty's expired.
Yeah, but that's how they think of it in those regards. So they'll explain and tell you all the stuff they think is cool about it. I got brand new windows. I just got those spring gutter leaf guards. Really? That's gonna make so much work, so much more.
I literally.
Like they
just got-
think everything is so cool. And you go, oh my gosh, I've heard so much, you know, so many good things about those. Right? So whatever.
So really the goal is to get a signed listing agreement. So make sure that you're going in with that goal in your presentation. How's that?
Your goal is to get a signed listing agreement if you want to.
If you want the listing.
If you go in there
Huge.
with the attitude that you have limited time, limited money, and you're only gonna spend your time and energy on the ones that you want. If you go in with that attitude, you'll most likely take this. If you go in with the attitude, this is my first listing, and I have to have it,
I'm gonna take it no matter what.
no matter what, they'll know, they'll eat you alive.
Or you'll take an overpriced listing and you'll put all these time and energy and
Right.
resources into it to
And it'll
not
sit,
make any money.
And then they'll be mad at you.
Yep, yep.
And you've wasted lots of time and energy.
Okay, so you wanna make sure that you're setting expectations for how you will market the home and work with sellers and find out what they're expecting of you. So that you can manage their expectations. If they're expecting to hear from you every 3 hours, Monday through Saturday, I'm not the agent for you, and I'll explain why. With that.
If you explain to them though, how you work and when you do those updates and all that, as long as they know what your as long as you equally know what the expectation is, you can accommodate it typically. Well, I give my updates every Wednesday, every Friday, every Monday, whatever it is, and literally put it in your calendar to give updates on those days.
So in the listing packets on command, there's a lot of pages in there. This one is about your needs. It's gonna have some questions that you can ask them, so you don't need to give them this page unless you want to. But I like to use the pages as like cue cards so that I know what I'm gonna say next. So I can tell them, visualize your dream scenario for selling your home, or tell me what would make this the ideal selling situation. So that I really get what's important to them. And then what's the one thing that has to happen to make that dream scenario a reality? How can I make that happen to you? Why is that important to you? If we could add just one more thing to make this process better, what would it be? Why is that important to you? And then I think, yeah, the next slide doesn't have it. And then I think also asking, what would ruin this for you? What was that thing you said to me in the car the other day? How does your goal change if this doesn't sell? Remember what does that do for your plan?
What does it do to your plans
Yeah.
if we don't sell by this date? So the idea is that they think through it, like this is real life. This is not just,
Cause we can't guarantee their house is gonna sell.
you can't.
Well, price it.
People for 100 years said you never guarantee their house can sell. That's absolutely BS. That's BS. You can guarantee any home will sell.
There's
How
a
do you
home
do
for
it?
every buyer.
How do you do it? If it's priced right.
Mhm.
If we price your home right, I can guarantee we're gonna sell it. And they say, no, I've heard you can't guarantee. We don't even know what the market's gonna do. We don't know what rates are gonna do. That's BS. I'll buy your home right now for the right price. Right? Or I know 5 people who would buy your home right now for the right price. It may not be the price they want, but it would be guaranteed sold, right?
There's sellers that will say, I totally just lost my train of thought. There's sellers that will say, no, I'm not gonna price reduce it. My house is worth more than that. And I'm like, no, the buyer's offers are coming in at this. So it sounds like you're willing to pay more for your home than the buyers. Cause they're not willing to buy it for that. So I think asking them both ways, the positive future, but also the negative future, what is this gonna do for you if the home doesn't sell? So that then they can come to reality, they have to be on board with this too, it's not just your responsibility. Okay, I'm knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. They will appreciate my expertise and preparation and choose me to represent them as they sell their home. So this is a really good affirmation. So you're knowledgeable and caring and the best agent for these clients. I love the affirmation. I'm the best agent for the job. I'm the best agent for this job. If I want that listing and I can go in with that affirmation, because I know that I'm gonna cater it to them. My presentation stays the same, but I'm gonna be able to cater to what their wants and needs are. Around the home. Okay, a listing walkthrough. So you're gonna walk through it. Sean's already talked about that. And that's where you're gonna build a rapport with them, ask them questions about the house. Take a notebook and write down things about their home so that you can know and remember when they say, oh yeah, the solar is this many kilowatts or whatever, you can write that down for your marketing. Always do a handwritten thank you note after a listing appointment. That is such a special touch and it really shows them that you care. And then getting the listing agreement signed, it just says listing agreement on here too. So we do want to get the listing agreement signed. So let's, you got to think of ways you're going to get that signature. You know how many agents go on a listing appointment and never ask for the signature? They expect the seller to close them and say, yeah, okay, I'll sign with you. But we have to ask. So really role playing and practicing your closes for a signature is important. And perfect. Okay. We'll take a little break and I'll switch it to the next class. So we can get back on track. So if you guys need to go to the bathroom or anything. Just out. Now we're gonna talk about working. One tip that I've heard Sean give a lot of agents that's really, really good advice is to practice listing your own home. And setting up to sign agreements with yourself. You don't really have to put it on the market,
But
but you can go all the way as far as
doing your CMAs,
unfinished. Well, you can put it in the MLS too and just say that as.
but doing all of the steps, doing your CMAs, doing your
How you
net
market it.
sheets, like practice all of it. And it's a real life scenario, so you think of it different. But then that also gives you the perspective that a seller's going to be going through when you're explaining stuff to them. So you can kind of visualize or feel it, if you will, both ways.
Yeah.
I think it's a good practice. I'm gonna use the restroom.
You got leads you're working from the open houses? Even hosted?
There
You
was
hosted the open house every weekend, right, for a little while now?
all weekend,
Yeah.
past couple of weekends.
How's that been going?
Not a lot of people were showing up.
Oh.
There have,
Are you door knocking them?
I did last week.
How did that go? Did you get people at the doors?
Yeah.
Did you get any contact information from the doors?
Mhm.
Would you think they would have given it to you? Well, that's how you can have a successful open house without having the open house part of it be successful. Because if you got a lead from door knocking for the open house and then they closed with you, and nobody came to the open house, that's still successful for you, putting in the work.
I didn't think of that. So how am I going about that? Knocking on their door and telling them, you're invited to this open house, please come join us and.
Yeah, come to script practice. So, I like to say, oh, no, I'm like, we're having an open house this weekend. It's Saturday from 11 to 2. I just wanted to invite you. And see, do you know anybody that might want to move into the neighborhood? And they'll say yes or no, right? If they say yes, I'm like, oh, can I follow up with them and give them a personal invite to the open house? Most of the time they're gonna say no, and then I'll say, what about you? When do you plan on moving? And then they'll say, oh, never, right? How long have you lived here? And they're gonna say, however long, 6 years or whatever, 6 years, that's amazing. What brought you here? And now that I wanna talk to them after I know they're not moving and building that rapport, and then they're gonna start to tell me the truth. So I'm like, how long have you lived here? And they're like, 6 years. I'm like, 6 years? That's awesome. What brought you here 6 years ago? And they're like, oh, we just really, we thought we would like living up north. We're from wherever else, and we just decided Utah's not for us or whatever, or we wanted to try living here. And then I'm like, well, if you were to move, where would you go next? And they're like, well, we want to go back to wherever, right? I have a guy who wants to move to Canada for the skiing. Well, like, if you were to move, where would you move next? He's like, I moved to Canada. Our powder's not good with the lake drying up. The powder is not the same. And so I'm like, oh, you want to move to Canada? When would that be? He's like, before the ski season. And I'm like, oh, but up here, you told me you were never moving. And now I know you're gonna try to move this winter.
Oh.
So it's just building that rapport. And then if they still say, no, I'm never moving. I mean, if obviously he says that, get his contact information, right? But if they say, no, I'm never moving, then say, well, that's amazing. One of the things I am offering to this neighborhood is just market updates. You can get them monthly to your email. Would you be interested in that? What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email? And then you can add them to your command and market to them.
Okay.
The whole system.
So this individual, was this individual, the Canada example, is that?
That's real. He's not moving right now. His wife is a nurse and we're waiting for her to retire, but he did retire as a school teacher in the spring, right? So prep for the move. So I know that's real.
So did
People
you-
care about that snow. They're not listing yet because they're waiting for his wife to retire.
But you got it clinched.
Maybe. I like to think so, because I've known them for a couple years. I met them through cold calling, actually. I'm just building that relationship. Hey, we'll talk about working with buyers and sellers, and Sean will come back. I'm sure that helped me want to keep you guys here all night. So now you guys know how to do a buyer consult, or what it's gonna take, and you're gonna build your system around it. And the same with a seller consult, what it's gonna take, and you're gonna build your system around it. And now we're gonna talk about working with buyers and sellers. So once they've signed with you, what's gonna happen next? So virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart and place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else. They are always thinking service. So we do want to make sure we're in the service industry. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of people. And I have written in here integrity on that last one. So if we say we're going to send you a pre-listing packet, or we say we're going to follow up with you and call you and let you know what the home sells for, or whatever we say we're going to do, we've got to do it. We've got to have that integrity to have that high level of service. For sure. Okay, great agent and client communication. It provides a strong foundation for a sustaining relationship, sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction, creates peace of mind for your clients, and enhances your credibility. So part of the thing when you told the lady you're working with, hey, we can't keep showing you homes because it's wasting a lot of people's time, but also you're going to fall in love with one and can't buy it. And now you're going to compare every home to this home that already sold because your home wasn't sold, right? And it warps your perspective. And so we've got to be able to communicate that with people too. And they are going to trust you when you tell them the truth. They're not always going to like it. Conversations are hard. Some conversations are hard. People don't get their way. There's 3 levels of service. Purpose, like what am I doing to help them? Your value proposition, which is also similar to that. What am I doing to help them? And a fiduciary level of service. So do you guys know, I know what's the next slide. Yep, okay, functionary versus fiduciary. What are some functionary things we do as agents?
Put a sign in the yard.
Okay, put a sign in the yard.
Just writing the contract.
Listing.
No?
Well, some agents could write the contract as a functionary, but we should be writing the contract as a fiduciary,
Well,
that we're
that's true.
protecting them. So functionary is a specific task relationship with clients. They do the job by dotting the i's and crossing the t's. A fiduciary relationship is a high trust relationship with clients and always put the best interest at the forefront, even before your own.
It's a deeper relationship.
Yep, deeper relationship, and it's about them, not about us, for sure. So I didn't know if I had this list. So functionary is very low level. This is in your student books too. You deliver information, you have a narrow picture viewpoint, you process data, you're replaceable, you're minimally paid, you tell and sell, you stay out of the decision making. Where a fiduciary is more high level, deeper relationship, accepts the responsibility, you master your skills that you're working on, you anticipate needs, interpret data, advise and consult, you have maximum legal responsibility, you're basically a partner in the transaction with them. You own the result, you educate and guide, you're involved in the decision making, you're irreplaceable, and you're highly paid. So we talk about that a lot, like any agent can sell a house, but can any agent sell a house at a really high level? Yeah, we just have to learn that skill of communication, right? And all the things it takes to be fiduciary.
Think of the high level being an experience. Right, anyone can really sell the house, but is it gonna be a good experience that they're gonna wanna go tell and brag and broadcast you everywhere?
Are they gonna
Is it
give you
that good of
referrals
it?
because you gave
Right.
them? What did this book, what did that book say? The limo coming in and the limo going out?
What did that guy, the red shoes experience?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Mhm.
We went to an event where we learned about an amazing culture, but we were not treated that way at the event. So make sure that you're treating your people to the level that you're telling them you're gonna treat them. So, that is a good book. It's called Red Shoes Living though, that teaches about creating an amazing client. I think they talk about culture, but really it's about client experience. Or what I got from it, and that kind of made fun. So, dual agency, you guys all know what that is? When you represent the buyer and the seller. So you have a fiduciary commitment to your client. So, and when you're dual agency, some of those fiduciary. What happened? Oh, some of your fiduciary duties have to become neutral. In that. Okay, we're gonna set expectations with both buyers and sellers. So I like to review the transaction process because not everybody knows what the process looks like to buy or sell real estate. In Command, in the listing and buyer presentations that you can create in there are timeline sheets in there that explain that process. So even if you don't know it, you can either take a picture of this or get it from those things in Command. But I just want to make sure I'm on the right page in here. We want to make sure that they're partnering with an agent. They're gonna get pre-approved for the loan. We're gonna set clear search criteria. We're gonna find their new home. We're gonna make an offer. We're gonna negotiate terms. We're gonna go under contract. We're gonna coordinate any vendors that we need, inspections, appraisals, anything like that. Any bids we want to get on the property. We're gonna negotiate inspections. We're gonna have an appraisal. We're gonna prepare for the pre-close, which is getting everything together with the title company and everything in order. We're gonna have our closing and then we're gonna do post-closing and follow up with them. We're gonna set time expectations. This is gonna go through on the buyer side and then it basically goes through the exact same thing on the seller side. So I'm gonna move faster on this. We wanna set time expectations. How long does it really take for you to find a home or get pre-approved or get your house under contract? And we can look at the average days on market for the sellers. We can talk with lenders for the buyers. But it's all about communication. We can't just go in with an attitude that we know what the house is when we don't, right? Or we know what the timeline is when we don't. We want to set document expectations. There's a lot to sign throughout this whole process, and we want to make sure that we're explaining all of that to them so that they understand. We want to set communication expectations. If you guys ever hear me talk, I call sellers on Tuesdays, and I call buyers on Thursdays. It's just my process. more houses come on the market on Thursdays, so that's why I wanna talk to buyers on Thursdays. And I wanna talk to them on Tuesdays, cause then I can gather all the open house feedback or any showings from the weekend, and I have time on Monday to look at stats and stuff. So I just set those expectations, that's just my system, create your own communication system and set those expectations. I'm gonna talk to them if there's something comes up immediate, right? If somebody's gonna make an offer on the home or made an offer on the home, I'm not gonna wait till the following Tuesday to tell them. That will come up sooner. We're gonna set contingencies, so I wrote on here, if you're out of town, let them know. Some agents think that they need to be available 24/7. I think it's okay to say, hey, I work from 9 AM to 9 PM or 9 AM to 7 PM or whatever, and I'm not available after that, and I'm not available on Sundays or whatever, or I'm gonna be on vacation. So I have this person covering your business. Don't just leave them hanging and not answer your phone for a week or whatever, because they are gonna be real happy with you, right?
Also, if you explain to them, hey, you know what? Your calls and your texts are super important to me. However, if I'm in an appointment, just like I am with you right now, when I'm in one of those appointments, I don't answer my phone. So you may on occasion get my voicemail and or I don't get a response immediately, but just know I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So you set that expectation that you can go take a shower, right? You can go to your kid's baseball game. You can be away from your phone for a moment because you've already preset that expectation. Because there's times where we can't physically answer your phone, right? You don't want to be stressing over.
I'm also
missing
not
a
gonna
phone
leave
call.
my kids like ballet recital to go answer a phone call, right? So it may not even be a work related. But I tell them I'm gonna be at my kid's ballet recital sometimes, but most of the time I just say, oh, I have another appointment. I already have another appointment. at that
And honestly, they don't really care. They're respectful of your time.
Mhm. Yep, for sure. Okay, set up-to-date market expectations, so knowing what's going on in the market by following it. Keeping up to date with that, and then set any tech expectations. So we can let them know, like, hey, this is how I want you to send me the houses that you wanna see, or different things like that. There's 3 steps to gaining referrals. Provide value. You guys know how to do that? Providing stellar service, education, advice, and care. Ask for help. Let people know that your business is based on referrals. Your conversations book has some great, easy ways to ask for this help. So that's in that Ignite toolkit. And then reward. Reward the behavior of a referral. Don't wait for closing. Send a card with a gift card for coffee. Take them out for coffee or send them a small gift to their office where not only will they feel appreciated, others might ask about it. I had a lender that would send chips and salsa to people's work when they got pre-approved. And he built his whole business off of that. Cause then and it was like,
Who doesn't love chips and salsa?
yeah, it was like a little chips and salsa thing. And
Right.
no, he didn't, no, he was a guy. And guys make salsa too, but he just had it, cause he was doing so much business, he really couldn't, he just had a runner. And that was their job, to deliver chips and salsa every day to all the offices that got pre-approvals. And it had like a little sign, congratulations, Sean, from this lender team. And he would ask their permission if he could deliver a gift to their office before he did that. Because some people didn't want their companies to know they were relocating or something, but he got tons of referrals off that. Cause then everybody's like, oh my gosh, that was cool. I want to use a lender like that.
But I've seen people who, those cookie delivery places, they send us a cookie saying, hey, congrats, we're under contract or whatever,
And then reviews, so request a review. If the purchasing or selling experience exceeded your expectations, would you be so kind as to give me a brief review? So in my post-close process, they do get a link to places to leave me reviews where I'm looking for reviews at that time. And then our command has a pretty cool testimonial page now. Have you guys seen that? For testimonials. So Lauren and Bradley can show you how to set that up so people can leave you reviews. You don't need to wait to get reviews until you close a transaction. You can ask people that you've worked with right now in any capacity. Hey, can you leave me a review? I also have had people leave me a review, like other agents. Hey, do you have somewhere that you want reviews? And they'll say yes or no. And then I'll say, well, could you leave me a review here? That helps build up your review thing. And then you the agents are in there like, I'm an agent and I worked with Allison and it was great, and that still looks good for people that are searching for me online. Okay, seller reviews, buyer reviews, and then vendor reviews, friends and family reviews. Any of that stuff you wanna get?
You have the review email that goes out, it's an email, right?
Mhm.
Is it automatic? Like after a deal closes, or you just manually send those? out?
Yeah, so I'm a huge, do you use Gmail?
Yeah.
Do you know how you can create templates in Gmail?
Mhm.
My whole thing is a template system in Gmail.
Okay, you know,
It's hard, well, I do use command, what's hard about, and I guess I could do that and put them on like a post-close follow-up smart plan, create that. I just haven't, I just don't have that set up yet. And I don't know if I will, but the emails that I have for my seller and buyer system, they aren't ones that I can put in a smart plan because they're so like, hey, the photographer's coming, hey, the stager's coming, and sometimes those are happening 2 days apart and sometimes a week apart, right? So it's too hard for me to time that smart plan. So I just have Google email templates they go out in. So buyers, they want from their agent to help find the right home to purchase, help the buyer negotiate the terms of sales, and help with the price negotiations. So it's interesting that they want help to find the right home to purchase, because where are they looking for homes? Online, right? They have access to the same data we have. So even though buyers want that the most, so some ways we can do that is sending them our command website or our command app to search for homes, because then we're helping them. We can also listen in team meeting for any off-market listings or upcoming listings or listings they may have missed when they were searching. We definitely want to help the buyer negotiate the terms of the sale and help with the price negotiations. So we want to make sure that we are understanding the market of the moment. With that. When you're talking to a buyer, did you guys go over needs analysis in the buyer class? Do you know?
I believe so.
Okay, so I'll go fast. So we want to know who's gonna live in this home. What are some non-negotiables? If you had to name your top 5, what would they be? Beyond your top 5, what's something you really want? I don't ask that. I just have them pick their top 5. If I don't need a 6th. Do you have a preference for the year the house was built? I also don't ask that. But you can ask any of these questions. Do you want a house in move-in condition? Are you willing to do some work on it? If they tell you they're willing to do some work on it, they don't mean it. They literally don't mean it. If they mean it, then they mean it. But if you ask them this and they say, oh, we can do some work, they mean like they'll unpack their boxes. When people visit your home, what do you want it to say about you? I like to use that. Tell me more about that. You want a home with an open kitchen. Tell me more about that. What's the open kitchen gonna do for you? And I go deeper on that. Because ultimately I'll find out they're party people, right? They like to host family parties or whatever. Or whatever I'm gonna find out about them. And then I can start looking at houses with that mentality of how they live their lives. Are there any specific features that would make your next house a like home? Are you gonna require accessibility options? The buyer's lives change or the buyer's world change. This is so crazy because it's so different than my book. It's like, did they change this in the last little bit? I feel like they did. Do you know when they updated Ignite? Was it in 2021?
It might have even been 22.
These slides say 21 and my book says 22. So I think you might put it on the slide. Does the buyer's life change or the buyer's worlds change? World changes.
Oh, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're not going to change their life a whole ton though, right? And they're not going to change their world a whole ton. They want a better house or maybe it will. They need a better house for the life that they're envisioning. Tough conversations are fiduciary conversations. I don't know if we have crucial conversations coming up on the calendar, but there is a CE class that we have sometimes here called Crucial Conversations. We have a guy come in and teach it. There's a book called Crucial Conversations that is really good. And that book teaches you how to have those difficult conversations and it's not like Blaine's like, I can say anything I want with a smile on my face, but it's not like that. It's more like, hey, we just calling it, hey, we got to have a pretty tough conversation. that we didn't price the house aggressively enough. The market showing us that word. We've got to have a difficult conversation. A lot of the feedback I'm getting, sounds like whatever it is, right? Which is why we want to get feedback from our listings, because it's way easier to say, hey, the feedback I'm getting is the house smells like cat pee, than as the agent, you're like, it smells like cat pee, yeah. Yep,
Or have a third party that you can bring in to tell them.
yeah,
Kind of stuff.
which is part of the reason I like to hire a stager.
Yeah.
The stager could be the bad guy.
Yeah.
For sure. Show
You
homes,
know what's easier to, not easier, but it's also an easy way to do it is say, stats show that homes that blah, 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 sell for a percentage higher or sell better, or they get better feedback, right? So you can say, blame it on the stats,
mhm,
so. it's good.
Yeah.
Not that we hate your carpet.
Yeah.
stats show homes with this
Change
carpet
carpet
don't
casino.
smell.
Well, you know, casino carpet's like always weird.
Yes.
I don't know why. I've never seen a casino carpet again.
But I've seen them I've seen weird hotel carpets too.
Psychological, it's to keep people from following paths. They just get lost in the maze.
Yeah, I believe that. Show homes based on their needs analysis. So if they need a home with no stairs, should we be showing them homes with tons of stairs? What if they ask us to?
Well, let's talk about your critical needs.
Yeah, hold on. You told me in the beginning you didn't want stairs. What has changed? Help me understand. Why are we looking at a home that didn't meet your criteria? For sure. Okay, show only the best properties for your buyer. I liked what you guys said, where you thought it was gonna be the best property and you showed it last. I like that strategy a lot too, or I like to do it first.
Yeah.
So then they're comparing everyone to that one, so I try to pick based on the time what I can do. Have an MLS listing with pricing information and key details included. Key details included disclosures. I wonder if I have that one here, I should. But I've been showing a client home, so I just load everything on my iPad. So you can see like, this is the list of homes we were seeing, this is some stuff she said, and then I take notes on each of the homes that they went and saw. If they have questions about the home, I write those down, so I know what, this was just on Monday when I was showing her homes. We had to end up canceling going to that one because we ran out of time, but I think that is important to keep track of that. So you can either do it digitally, you can just take notes on a notepad about it, but you want to have that MLS listing because they're gonna ask you questions as you're walking through the home that you're not gonna know answers to. You can say, "But I'm gonna find that out for you if this ends up being one of the top 3 homes or something like that, I'll research that." I don't think you need to spend 40 minutes or even 20 minutes researching all the homes you're gonna show them before you go show them. I only research the ones that make it into their top cut.
Well, let's back up a little bit. So how many homes do you guys show?
Well, yeah, so
In a day.
no, to a buyer.
To a buyer, period. And it could be over multiple days.
This
What is
we should-
the expectation that you guys set?
I like to show them 5 at the most.
Total.
Mhm.
That's all I'll ever show is 5.
Oh.
And I tell them that up front. If I show you more than 5,
We don't have your expectations, right?
we've screwed up and I failed you as your realtor. So we need to reset it. We need to reset what it is. So I typically try not to do 5 in one day. Because the five, they'll get the living room of this one, the garage of that one, the kitchen of this one, and that's their perfect home, right? And you just wasted your time. So
Well,
I
and when
won't
you
show more than 3
when
at a
you
time.
show 7 homes, especially in one day, they don't remember one home from the next.
So I only show them 3. And after each home, I say, do you picture yourself going into this garage, into this driveway, driving through this neighborhood every day, leaving it every morning to go to work? You know, well, we don't like this, or this. Well, great. You know what? You don't like it because of the stairs, right? You just use that as an example. There's no reason to go see the next 2 we have scheduled tonight. Let's cancel them. And let's revisit what else we need to do. Because I'm not gonna waste my time and their time. Well, we
Yeah,
really
it's
wanna
not
see them. Well, you said you don't want stairs, and that's why you don't like this one. So is it that you don't like this house or you don't like the stairs? Right? I have these hard conversations with these people. We don't like this, or this. This next one is almost this exact same floor plan. So what is this? Or they realize they need an extra bedroom or an extra bathroom, whatever it is. Well, great, then let's revisit what we need to find. Cause it may not be instantly that you find it.
I had a client tell me they would never live on a busy road, ever. And then she sent me a house on a busy road. And I was like, hey, on, what's that busy road in Roy, 3,500?
There's
She.
which one's not busy.
This is like a busy.
No, you could get traffic counts. You can go on UDOT, you build
Yeah.
a road, it'll give you traffic count. Did you know this house is on a busy road and it's approximately 2,000 cars every morning?
Right on
You
UDOT.
wanna live on that road? And they will, oh, no, I don't care how much I like the house. No, you're right.
So she told me she didn't want to live on a busy road, and then she sent me a house on a busy road, and I said, hey, I thought you didn't want to live on a busy road, and she said, for this house, I will, and we went and saw the house, and she owns it now, on 5,600, that's the road, in Roy, it's like the busiest road, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
They're extending it. There's ways around it though, if it's something that's gonna work. So
Mhm.
don't rule it out, even if busy road, I prefer not a busy road, right? They can fence the whole thing. And you can make it to where you pull out of your garage into another, like a sideways thing and pull out straight.
But
There's ways
really-
around.
Expectations where she's not gonna live on a busy road, and then when she's like, I wanna see this house and it's on a busy road, I'm able to pull that back around, hey, you told me you didn't wanna live on a busy road, and I'm not gonna show you a house on a busy road, and then she's like, no, this house I would buy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. Cause it was in her price range, and it was the nicest house in her price range, cause that's, gotta price them per location, and a busy road is gonna bring down the price. Okay, you want to, so mark properties on the map to answer location questions. I think if you get to know the area, really, if you can get, I like to call it 5 mile famous. If you can really get to know an area, you're gonna be the master in that area. But I don't think you need to get to know every area. So you do want to know where it's at on the map, and they can research as well. That's also part of their due diligence. You want to be knowledgeable about the property and the neighborhoods. Include recent comparable sales to answer pricing questions. So I really only do that if they're interested in the home. If I'm not gonna do that on every home, I'm going to show them. Point out potential, and once you start seeing homes, it's really easy to see which one is overpriced and which one's underpriced and which ones are priced in the range, once you start looking at enough of them. Point out potential issues and concerns with each house. So they're looking at the kitchen, right, or whatever, or the backyard, and I'm looking at like the hole in the fence, and I know they have a dog, or I'm looking at the cracks in the stucco or whatever. I just scan it with a different view, because I'm not gonna be the one living in the home. Showing homes means agent interaction. Sometimes you'll go to open houses and somebody will just be sitting there like this. Right? And then what? That doesn't feel comfortable. So when you're showing homes, don't do that to them. Be present with them. And they have a home tour toolkit. So these are things that they are saying, I haven't brought graphite for sticky locks. Very interesting. Beverages and snacks. Sometimes I'll throw a couple water bottles in there, depending on the day, but typically I do, however, have a little tote in the back of my car that has a bunch of stuff. It has a first aid kit, a flashlight, tape measure. It doesn't have a level. Your phones have tape measures and levels on them too. I do have notepads and pen. I do have tissues, toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizer. This was for masks, shoe covers. I do have some shoe covers back there. I also have a spare pair of flip-flops, because I'll try to pay attention or a spare pair of shoes. I'll try to pay attention if I'm showing a big horse property that I have to walk around. I'm not gonna wear heels that day. But what if I did, and then I'm gonna have that spare of shoes in my car. So just have a little tote in the back of your car with a bunch of stuff. That'll come in handy for showing homes and just life stuff in general, as well as open houses. Be safety first when showing homes. When you're showing homes, just assume everybody has a camera and prep your buyers for that. One of my emails that go out says just that. Hey, these guys everybody has a camera in their home, most likely nowadays. So we want to make sure that your kids are being very well behaved and that they're going through the home with us. We want to make sure we're staying together. We want to make sure we're talking positive about the home. If we have anything really in depth to discuss, and we don't want to say how much we love it or hate it. If we have anything in depth to discuss, let's do it when we get to the car or when we get away from the home. We want to know that. So is our job, this is kind of what Sean was talking about. Is our job to show homes? No, it's to help them find their home. We don't want to be their only friend in Utah showing them homes all the time. We don't want to be their date night driver, right? Like, we don't want to entertain them. We are here to sell homes. Okay, reasons buyers hesitate. I find buyers hesitate often because they're afraid to commit. So they'll say that they don't like some minor detail of the home. They'll feel they haven't seen enough homes, or they need to sleep on it or get the opinion of a trusted advisor. But I think ultimately it comes down to there's something nervous. It's usually more emotional, and we've got to just ask more questions to get to the bottom of why. Not just take them, oh, you didn't like that stove door was black and all the rest of the appliances were stainless. And I'm like, you can buy a new front for that stove to match, like it's not that big of a deal. But so they'll pick out little minor things about the home, or that toilet was too low, we like a higher toilet. And I'm like, that's not what's keeping you from buying this home. There's something else going on. So make sure that you're really critical thinking. Always go back to their motivation. Like, hey, you said you didn't want to live on a busy road, or hey, you said you needed to buy a house. You wanted to buy a house before school started, or whatever it was. Get back to their needs and wants, advise and consult them as a fiduciary, ally their fears. So what is it you're afraid of? Just ask, right? Tell me what scares you. I can help you with the answers, and we can decide if it is the right time for you. It may not be the right time for you to buy right now. Solve their challenges and calculate the cost of waiting. I think the rent versus buy thing goes out in the email today, but that Bradley sends out after Ignite. But if you were gonna buy now and interest rates drop, what do you think will happen to home prices? They're gonna go up. So you can refinance when the interest rates drop. So wouldn't you rather be in a home now than pay a higher price? And so you can just calculate that cost of waiting for them. It ends up averaging, even if they're upside down on the monthly payment, meaning upside down, like they're renting for $1,800, maybe their mortgage is going to be $2,500. It almost always, their net worth, it ends up substantially higher for sure by year 5. Usually it's sooner with our appreciation. Then the rent payment would be more than what the mortgage payment is, and their net worth will be more. Okay, we're gonna go through this one. Sellers want us to help price the home competitively, market the home to buyers, sell the home within the time frame, and help the seller find ways to fix up the home. We kind of looked at that. So, you want to price it right. I'm gonna look for this part on my thing. I definitely think this is a different slides than we're used to. So we want to make sure we're pricing it right, we're telling them the correct time frame, and we're understanding what conveys with the property, like what's going to be included with the property. Does the seller's life change or the seller's world changes? I don't know what this slide means. You probably do.
I think it means are we changing their world, or are we just changing their daily routine?
Oh,
So, an example would be someone who needs to get an extra bedroom because they are having another child, right? That's probably changing their life, right? But someone who's now selling their last place, going into a rest home, that's changing their entire world.
oh, I see. Okay,
So,
I love it.
so you got the different emotions tied to it. I'm so happy I get this one house with an extra bedroom I need to go buy or sell. And no, this is my last house. So, or it's the house I grew up in, and my parents willed it to us, and they died. The last one died 3 months ago, right? There's definitely emotions tied to both of those.
Yes. Okay, sellers control, or they think they control the price. But they do, the market controls the price. They do control the condition of their home though, right? I like to say there's price, condition, and location. And we can only change 2 of those, right? You can't really change the location, but you can change the price, like lower it, or you can make the condition better. Sensitive seller conversations. Oh, we just talked about this already. So we want to provide a strong foundation for a sustaining relationship. So if you lie to them, does that do that? Who has a big foundation with somebody that lied to you? Do you set and manage expectations proactively throughout the transaction? You create peace of mind for your clients and all of these great communication will enhance your credibility.
So going back to that one, we did an open house, last weekend. And it was for a agent that works out of the Provo office. We'd sent them like. We had them show a house for us down there, and then they called us, say, hey, do you wanna do open house late? And we're like, yeah, sweet. So I did door knocking and everything. And we showed up that morning to do the open house, and he had not told the owners that he wasn't doing the open house. So we had to talk the wife off the ledge. He was upset that he wasn't on.
Right.
So that's a horrible way to start your relationship with them,
Yeah.
right? Now, with
Do
that
you-
being said, if you have, when you represent a seller, always let the seller know who's the one hosting the open house. Give them the name, give them their contact info and so on, right?
Don't be afraid, yeah. because
And if
you're-
they're outside of our brokerage, there legally needs to have a listing addendum signed, giving them authorizing you from a different brokerage. The ability to do it,
And Orem is a
different brokerage, yeah. So that seller wouldn't have had an excuse, they would have signed something, shoot at that.
Right. Well, yeah, obviously they should have told them, like, it ended up okay, like Claudia's great with wives. And talked to her.
Well, in communication, right?
Yeah.
And just, this is what it is.
Yeah, we got them, like, it ended up being a great office, but yeah, it did start off great.
So as an office, we have more open houses that can be held than we have people willing to hold
All the time,
all the time.
100% of the time.
Yeah, this will be your third weekend holding one for me. I've had, like, literally, I've got homes that people can hold. I got two
Cool.
other listings that. people can hold.
We're open, but yeah, I'm sure Claudia knows. She's not as excited about the cold knocking doors as
I
I am.
know.
Great, so let's sell a whole bunch in the next month. That way you
Take
don't have to do it.
Man.
Yeah. Really, I had some agents, they're retired now, but I had some agents who, they had I don't know how many grandkids, like 22 grandkids they were like, they had like 9 kids. And each of their kids had like 9 kids. They had a ton of kids. So they used to plan Thanksgiving to New Year's without working. So they had their whole year's schedule and goals were all based around 9.5 months.
So
not
they
10
worked
months.
their tails
So
off
they
for
worked their
9.5
tail off.
months.
Yeah, which really wasn't that big of a deal, but it was scheduled that they would take off. They literally, the week before Thanksgiving. They're like, all right, we'll see you next year. And they literally, that's what they did.
They meant
How
it.
cool would that be?
Yeah.
So when you say you guys don't like the cold,
Well,
great, buy a place in St. George. And plan on leaving around Thanksgiving and coming back at the beginning of the year. Why not?
Yeah, it's your life. We want you to live by
Yeah, live the
design.
life that you want.
well, so.
Business objective, life by design is the
Right.
goal, right? So what life are you designing? We don't think of it that way.
Okay, so, different brokerage, still KW, you need a written
Yeah.
agreement with them. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Same
You
brokerage,
don't need it, they need it.
You need it if you're the seller.
Correct.
Okay.
So whoever
So-
listens.
okay. That's good. Thank you.
I was gonna say something else, I can't remember what it was. By design, I don't know. Oh, I had a friend who said she set big goals in real estate and she said, if I can meet these goals 6 months into the year, I'm gonna take the rest of the year off. And so that was her motivation and she did it. And I think she sold like 40 houses in 6 months because she wanted to be able to probably go to Oktoberfest and.
I know a lot of people that have done that, they've done a version of that. And I look at it going, I think you need to revisit your goal then.
If you
because-
want a vacation from your life, right?
Yeah.
You
So
live in the
change,
best
change your life and then double that, like. Take off every other, 1 week, 1 week a month versus 6 months in a row.
life. Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And why not double what you're doing?
Yeah.
Not double, it's not about doubling the money, but you're putting more effort towards it.
Yeah. Cape Fair housing is real. Real. They put out, secret shoppers. So I'll call them, you might have the right term for these, but you will get tested. I mean, they'll call you and say, hey, I want a home like this. Or whatever, and we want to make sure that we're not doing that. we want to make sure that we're reminding clients of their obligations under the Fair Housing Act. We want to discontinue representation of the client if they aren't gonna abide by fair housing. We want to report the incident to our broker. Do you guys know who that is? Yep. Immediately. You want to fully document the situation, and Sean will let you know if you need to consult an attorney around it. But we don't want to say
People do claim it.
a lot more than
More
we
than-
realize.
Yeah, so we had, we represented a buyer, which our buyer was in the wrong. You'll understand why in a minute. They, put a house under contract. The seller canceled. The seller didn't give us the reason why they canceled. There was nothing in the contract that allowed the seller to cancel. The buyer automatically claimed and they were gonna get an attorney. Well, they started consulting with an attorney. They were gonna put it on the news because they said the seller canceled because they were. The seller had no idea that they were, you know, that.
Any
that orientation.
race, yeah.
Right, they had no idea. And their claim was, well, they had cameras, they saw us, so that's why they canceled. They didn't want to sell. They wanted black people in the neighborhood. So they started going the race card way before anything. And it turns out, and I've told the story before. Turns out Mrs. Seller had a bad back the year before she had back surgery. She needed a new back surgery. She needed to be laid up. She was going into surgery. It wasn't like she could wait. And she was gonna be laid up on her back for like 6 weeks and she wouldn't be able to sell the house. She physically wouldn't be able to go through the process. They're not gonna move to a hotel during this, right? She physically couldn't sell the house. So that's why they canceled and they had to match their earnest money, right? Which was 20K. So the seller came out of pocket 20K because these people were trying to say that they canceled because they were, you know, instead of just forgiving him and saying, we'll just do it. But we're gonna get the news, we're gonna get all this stuff. And it's like, you guys, let's just be nice. Let's be people. We don't care what your nationality is, but they didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Turns out the sellers were of a minority as well. I can't remember if they were Asian, Indian, they were Hispanic. They were a minority as well. So they're
So
like,
they have
"We
to
don't
be
care."
double the escrow?
Yeah.
every
So
time?
if a seller cancels, they have to match the earnest money,
Right.
Or the buyers can sue.
or the buyers can sue for performance or sue for damages.
Yeah, I had to actually tell, I had this situation just with the cancellation and it was hard for the sellers to turn it down, but I sold a home, had it under contract, had multiple offers. And then the very next day after it was under contract, I had a guy call me and I thought I was getting tested or something too, but he's like, hey, I heard you went under contract. I said, yeah, but we'll take a backup offer or whatever. He said, I want to make a cash offer. And I'm like, okay. And I've never had this. I'm so new, you know. But he's like, okay, I'll give you 520. Well, the list price was 509. We sold it for 512. I'm like, hey, I'll present it to the seller, but just so you know, we're under contract. The seller would be liable. We can't just cancel for no cause. And
But you do stop to present all offers.
I had to present the offer, so I did, and, they were bummed, because obviously more money, and then the buyer came back, he's like, I'll give you another 15, so like, they were gonna. But it was just like,
You know what, though?
okay, but you
I've
can't.
had that same scenario's happened a handful of times in my career.
Yeah,
And there's been a few times where like, well, we'll present the offer, we sent the offer to the seller. And the seller's like, well, this is more money for us. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, the buyer hasn't done their inspections. Their earnest money is blah. Do you want to just call and see if we can negotiate getting out of it? And they'll be like, well, what will that cost us? Well, I don't know. Let's call and find out. You call them, you say, hey, your earnest money is 5K. We'll let you have your earnest money back. Plus we'll give you another 2,500 if you let the deal cancel.
oh,
And don't tell them you have another offer that's more expensive, right? Or they'll say why, and you can negotiate it. You might have to match the 5K and do another 5. But if they're gonna make 15 grand plus another 15, so 30, that's worth 5K. They made an extra 25.
okay.
Well,
So
and,
I was just
and
worried the seller was gonna get like sued,
They could, but they don't have to cancel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, and then protect yourself on that second offer, because now if you bought out the earnest money and this one doesn't close.
Yeah.
So.
yeah,
Have that.
Well, you would
So
get
we
that
ended up-
accepted in backup contingent upon getting out of the other one successful.
okay,
So, yeah.
good to know.
Alright.
Okay.
Okay, no commission is worth your reputation, so make sure we are following the Y4C2Ts. We, there's a marketing plan for listings, which is in your student book, so you wanna price your home competitively. Advise on how you're gonna attract buyers by showing your home in the best possible light, place a for sale signage, respond to buyer inquiries immediately. Optimize the internet presence, market your home on multiple websites, which our Keller Williams automatically does that for you. Create flyers and comment cards for viewers of your property, so call up the agents that are showing it and get feedback. Distribute just listed notices to neighbors, which is also open houses. Target my marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in your neighborhood, or I always say, I'm gonna market to buyers, but I'm also gonna market to agents who have pre-approved buyers. That's gonna help us close more quickly. We market to agents. Offering compensation, one of the ways. Target my I read that one. Include your home on our Tuesday talks. Create an open house schedule and market the open house and follow up with those leads. Target active buyers and investors in your database and provide weekly updates onto the marketing decisions. The message you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers is everything. Why would they want to contact you in this market? What would they get if they did? These two questions are at the heart of all effective messaging. That's from Shift. And I know we kind of talked about the market of the moment and providing value based on what's happening in the market and who your niche is. In a different Ignite class. Okay, make sure you have the right documents for us uploaded. Utilize the right professionals to get great pictures and floor plans and set the right schedule for your listing. Your listing goes up on the MLS, it automatically gets imported into the Keller Williams MLS. We want to have proper signage. We have some templates of signs, for sale signs, that you can pick from. That are already pre-approved by Sean. If you're not using one of those pre-approved templates, you should just run your sign idea by him so that you can make sure it's compliant.
Do you guys know that we have a website?
That talks about all the compliance.
It is. It is KW. Showing someone today, and I forgot all about it. So it is kwutah.com, right? It looks like this.
KW Utah is our region, so
Is
we're
our
part
region.
of that.
So you go to resources up here, in the top right. And then you go to, when it's set up, you go to agent resources. And in this website, it leads itself to a Google Drive and branding and marketing. There's all this stuff in here. There's a ton of branding and marketing. And then one of them is market center specific logos and all of it. So you can open this one, which takes you just to it. Like I said, it's a Google Drive. And I have no idea why it's not okay. So then you can go to success. Do you see the different signs and stuff down there? So then you go to success and it has our logos and stuff. So it's a pretty cool resource. It's got a bunch of stuff in there, but it could be like door hangers, flyers. It's just stuff that people have already made, which I know Command has a lot of this stuff, but this is specific to our office. So
Yeah, I love it. Okay, we want to have success with co-agents. So what are ways we could do that?
Communication.
Yeah. So like on Monday when I was showing houses and we were running out of time and I knew we weren't gonna hit that fourth house. And which I kind of knew when I scheduled it, the chances were slim where we were gonna hit it. And so I let the agent know, hey, we're scheduling you. It did happen to be a vacant one. I did that on purpose. And it was also their least favorite location. But I was like, hey, we're gonna schedule it. We're not 100% sure if we're gonna make it. I'll let you know either way. So we're at the house. I know we're at the previous house. I tell my clients, hey, I'm gonna text them and just let them know we're not gonna make it. My client had somewhere to be. And there was no need. We made an offer on the first house. So, but communication with co-agents, letting them know if you're not gonna come, letting them know if you are gonna come, letting them know if you're running late, just communicate with them, right? But don't spill out all your clients' confidentiality. For sure. Okay, I think we ended basically on time. What are we, like 6 minutes late, 9 minutes late? Okay, well, I'll pause. Everybody give me 20. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, consistency and schedule, you know, have it in your calendar, put it out there. Just, but from everything I get, it's just being consistent, having your plan and following.
Well, and what you focus on expands, right? That's a universal law, just like gravity, right? You are a witness to it, but you don't have to be able to explain it. It's the same thing. If you plan something, it's gonna happen. So if you plan that you're gonna have a listing appointment, you will.
Mhm. So you guys are all gonna get a lead in the next 24 hours, right? And get out there, believe in it, call the people back. Get their contact information if you don't have it, if you're out door knocking. How's door knocking been for you since you've changed up your scripts a little Or have you
I
gone?
have not gone since,
since that one?
I don't know, so I don't know what I would change on the script from the one that I did last. Last Thursday, Friday, I went out and knocked doors and it went really well. A lot of, you know, it's the script that Dalton uses is pretty good just to get people to at least have a short conversation with you. But I was able to get into a couple longer conversations that one for sure leave, like. A guy has a daughter that has money that he thinks she should be investing and you need to talk to her and stuff. Okay. Do that, so.
Yeah, so you know what could be good too, the Millionaire Real Estate Investor is our book of the month for October, whatever, November, October. So that would be a good book for you to read, maybe even buy one and give it to her, right?
Yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
You guys have the ability to move your, what's the yardage for Cone Duke 9?
5.
5 yards for Cone class, you can move your thing 5 yards.
I get to go to 5 years.
Well, I
Well,
get paid for the helmet.
Because you get,
Yes,
you,
you get the-
yep. Is there a tape there anywhere? There's probably tape by the printer.
Yeah.
So even if people aren't taking listings, having closings, doing a whole ton of business, everyone can get yardage. So the idea is to get people doing the appropriate habits that's going to eventually get you business. I'm kind of sad, as much effort as we put into these office contests.
Yeah,
And
the
money
participation.
you put behind it, yeah, the lack of participation. I really thought there was gonna be 30 or 40 helmets.
I think that we have to have the stuff out here. That's just my.
Yeah.
Even a little,
Do you have, was that in our email?
this is, you can have this, it's in the calendar. And then it has all of my cooking stuff too. On here, but on
Like
Monday.
Corey, why
we're
can't,
going to
Well, I
this
just don't
one.
know. I don't have any knowledge.
what are they looking for?
So-
Are they sellers, buyers?
Yeah, so they're both buyers. and-
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Sean.
So
Are they-
They're both, investment
That would be
groups.
really cool. Yeah.
Don't write them off because you don't know about it. One of the things with one of our code of ethics is that you won't do any business that you don't know of,
Right.
right? Without bringing in the appropriate support. So don't just write it off. Bring it, oh, you already did?
Yeah, I don't know if Corey's like, just try to refer him to Corey or.
I would say, show me what's going on with these.
Okay.
They may be above his head too. So.
I had a short conversation
You're
with
welcome.
him. So one is, it's an investment group out of Salt Lake, it's looking for 100+ unit.
Oh, no.
Now you can find those just as easy as Corey can. Go on LoopNet and CoStar and you're